If Qian Zhe had his master help him bathe before he was 7 years old. And the master happened to be a very serious person, so Ruo Qianzhe didn't have any childhood shadow on her. But it was different when she came to live at Hua Qingyin's house. Ruo Qianzhe always felt like she was being teased. Especially when taking a bath and sleeping. She is often teased by Hua Qingyin, not only verbally but also physically. Ruo Qianzhe will not resist because of her ignorance and young age. Later, when Ruo Qianzhe was 11 years old, she grew up and became sensible. She understood that Hua Qingyin was very annoyed by what she did to her, so she stopped dating Hua Qingyin and always tried her best to avoid him. Yan may also feel a little embarrassed, so he hasn't come to see Ruo Qianzhe in the past few years. At this point in the memory, Ruo Qianzhe frowned and couldn't help but sigh. Oh, this child simply doesn't know how to be blessed despite being blessed. If it were Ruo Qianzhe, he would have accepted the young lady's teasing generously. I wonder, Qian Zhe, how did you know that Jang Chen was connected with the witch in the ancient world? Feng Yi dropped a white stone. It's hard to say. Ruo Qianzhe shook her head after dropping a sunspot. Do you believe me? I have watched you grow up, so naturally I believe in you. Feng Yi smiled slightly. Master and Sect Master Hua went to investigate the witch. Will something happen? Oh, I thought you were angry, but I didn't expect you still care about them. Feng Yi was amused. I wanted to ask them if there was any risk of something happening. Ruo Qianzhe explained. Feng Yi. Ahem, if your master hears this, she will break your legs. If you don't want to fight, just fight, it's better to interrupt. Just when Ruo Qianzhe wanted to continue the fight, a group of people suddenly came outside the yard and violently pushed open the door. Then a few big men pushed a disheveled girl in red in front of Ruo Qianzhe, almost missing him. Startled. FK. The female ghost in red. After Ruo Qianzhe sat down again, he looked at the girl in red carefully and realized that the girl in red was Surui. At this time, my face was a little red and swollen, and I almost couldn't recognize the person. Surui raised her head and was overjoyed to find that it was her senior brother. She quickly hugged Ruo Qianzhe's thigh, gasped and choked. Ooh, senior brother, I gave him a beating. That's it. You guys must make the decision for me. As Surui said this, she pointed at a few big men on the side. Good fight, great fight. Looking at Surui, who was swollen into a pig's head, Ruo Qianzhe clapped her hands happily. Surui. Senior brother. You. What are you talking about? Surui looked at Ruo Qianzhe in disbelief. White-eyed wolf. Do you think your senior brother is still the same unknown senior brother? He has already woken up, otherwise why do you think I brought you here? Ha. A man on the side sneered. No. Impossible. Surui's face turned ugly when she heard this, and then she shook her head. It's impossible for senior brother to abandon sister Rui. Surui looked at Ruo Qianzhe pitifully. You treat me like a beast when you are fine, and think of me when something happens? Ruo Qianzhe was speechless for a while. Sister Feng, let's continue playing chess. Ruo Qianzhe ignored Surui and turned her head away. If Qian Zhe ignored her, Surui felt that the whole world had dimmed and lost its light. How could this happen? No matter how naughty and mischievous I was in the past, senior brother Qian would always turn towards me. Why are you a different person today? Surui's eyes were dull and she stared blankly at the sky. By the way, you can do whatever you need to do. I didn't see anything today. Ruo Qianzhe looked at the men on the side and smiled. When they heard this, the eyes of the men suddenly lit up, and they approached Surui with clenched fists and evil intentions. Surui also reacted at this time and looked at the big men with a horrified expression. You. What are you going to do? Don't come here. You have already beaten me once before. Now you want to beat me again. Ooh. Several big men had no idea of showing mercy to her and just punched and kicked her. Cry, cry, cry. Just know how to cry. Senior brother Qian has already seen through your true colors as a white-eyed wolf. No matter how much you cry, it's useless, ha ha ha. Surui wanted to fight back, but her own strength was no better than the other three, so she could only give up the idea and defend passively. While defending, her eyes fell on Ruo Qianzhe from time to time, and tears fell down her face. Senior brother really ignored me. Suddenly, she accidentally saw Feng Yi sitting opposite Ruo Qiange. Elder Feng. Surui seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw and shouted loudly. Elder Feng is here. How dare you blatantly beat people? Breaking the sect's rules. The men were stunned for a moment, then looked at Feng Yi, and then noticed that there was an elder sitting there. It's over, they were all focused on Surui and didn't pay attention to the situation here. Ha ha ha. How dare you commit a crime against the wind, are you finished now? Surui completely forgot about the pain in her body and touched her nose proudly, but what Elder Feng said below made her dumbfounded on the spot. My eyes are tied with an opaque ribbon, so I can't see anything. Feng Yi sighed. Surui. My good sister, what are you talking about? This. Looking at Feng Yi, whose mouth was slightly raised, the men were immediately at a loss. Ruo Qiange looked at Feng Yi a little dumbfounded. She didn't expect this woman to be so sinister. After reacting, he looked at a few men and yelled, Didn't you see Elder Feng playing chess? Are you still disturbing Yaxing here? Oh. The men nodded quickly, bowed to Elder Feng, and then cautiously walked out of the courtyard gate. They were afraid that Elder Feng would regret it. These people who suffered thousands of blows are finally gone. Surui breathed a sigh of relief. Ahem, there's another person there. Ruo Qiange pointed to Surui sitting on the ground. Senior brother Qian. How could you do this to me? Surui looked at Ruo Qiange with despair in her eyes. I almost forgot, hee. Those strong men quickly came back, dragged Surui's body and left. When there were only 2 people left in the field, Ruo Qiange looked at Feng Yi and cupped his hands. My disciple, thank you Elder Feng. Thank you no matter what, you said I can't see clearly. Haha. What the elder said is absolutely true. Congratulations to the host for successfully teaching Surui a lesson. The revenge points will be increased by 100. After a long time, 3 figures appeared in the sky above Snow Sword Peak, 1 black, 1 white, and 1 pink. They're back. Feng Yi dropped another white seed and said without raising her head. The 3 figures did not stop too much and landed directly towards Ruo Qiange's yard. Ruo Qiange looked at a few people, and there were 2 people he knew, Yiching Shu and Hua Qingyan. As for the one in black dress and wearing a crown, Mo Yuan, the pinnacle of land immortals, Jang Chen relied on to commit suicide in the early stage, and his most powerful trump card. He saved Jang Chen many times in life and death crises. Later, Jang Chen included her in his harem in order to repay his kindness. Gare. I'm sorry, I wrongly blamed you. Yiching Shu hugged Ruo Qiange directly, with tears glistening in her eyes. Because he was sitting down, Ruo Qiange felt a sense of suffocation, and his head happened to hit Yiching Shu's chest. So soft and a bit fragrant. Haha, what's the use of saying you're sorry? Ruo Qiange pushed Yiching Shu away. Looking at the indifferent Ruo Qiange, Yiching Shu felt slightly absent-minded for a moment. I will find a way to compensate you in the future as a teacher. Compensation, you bastard, you know how to compensate. Song. Looking at Ruo Qiange with a fierce look on his face, tears flashed in Yiching Shu's eyes. Is this really his precious apprentice? He would look at her with such eyes. Yiching Shu obviously didn't understand where she really went wrong. Ruo Qiange was raised by her since she was a child, and her feelings for her were much deeper than Jang Chen's. But Yiching Shu told her about transplanting the supreme bone, and she didn't believe what Ruo Qiange said. It's just that it's not the time yet. We should go find Shenner, Jang Chen to settle the score. Yiching Shu sighed, picked up Ruo Qiansinger, and led him into a stream of light and flew into the sky. The other people quickly followed after seeing this. Ruo Qiange only felt dizzy, and when she opened her eyes again, there were 2 more people in front of her. One was Surui with a bruised nose and face, and the other was Jang Chen who was sitting on the bed with his eyes wide open. Ah, why are you here? After seeing the witch, Jang Chen became a little panicked. Seeing Jang Chen's reaction, Yiching Shu's expression became even more ugly. Sure enough. What Gare said is true. Yo, didn't junior brother Zhang say that he didn't know the witch of the ancient world? Now I see how she doesn't look like he doesn't know her at all, ha ha ha. If Qiange didn't give the other party any face, he would just start a fight and expose the other party. The host angrily criticized Jang Chen, greatly weakening the opponent's luck and rewarding him with 217 revenge points. Jang Chen, why did you lie to me? Yiching Shu looked at Jang Chen with cold eyes, tears glistening in her eyes. She devoted countless emotions to each of her apprentices. Although he had a deeper relationship with Ruo Qiange, he did not treat him differently because of this. Instead, he asked him to take the bones to save Jang Chen. After being deceived, he was really sad. Of course, if the person with 2 rude bones is Jang Chen, Yiching Shu will take Jang Chen's ancient head to save Ruo Qiange when her life is in danger. I didn't lie to you. I really don't know about this, Jang Chen said aggrievedly. Haha, I said that Jang Chen really didn't know about this matter. Everything was just a game set up by me. Mo Yuan's charming voice sounded, touching people's hearts. After hearing these 2 words, Yiching Shu's expression softened a little. Fortunately, Jang Chen is unaware of this situation. Master, senior brother. At this moment, Huaning also trotted into the house. Ruo Qiange ignored Huaning at all, but pointed at Jang Chen and said loudly, Jang Chen, if you really don't know about this matter, you and she have known each other before, but why do you still say you don't know the witch from the ancient world? Do you have a guilty conscience? Although Ruo Qiange knew that Jang Chen was indeed unaware of this matter, he knew not to frame him. As soon as these words came out, Jang Chen's face became even more ugly and he was speechless. He really didn't know anything about this matter. He just said that to avoid causing unnecessary misunderstandings. Such a change in Jang Chen's face made even the most unbelievers believe it. Senior brother Jang. Surui covered her mouth and looked at Jang Chen in disbelief. Sister Su, you must believe me, although I know Mo Yuan, I really don't know the trap she set up. Jang Chen's eyes were red, he was panting heavily and grabbed Surui's hand. Now the people in the sect can only hope that Surui will believe in them, and Jang Chen can only find spiritual sustenance in her. Ruo Qiange first looked at Yiching Shu and found that she was staring blankly at Jang Chen, as if she had lost her mind. This look made people unable to help but feel pity for her. Ruo Qiange looked at Huaning again, turned her eyes and found that the other party was also looking at her at this time. Her expression was very complicated, including sadness, guilt, and of course, the most guilty one. When Ruo Qiange's eyes fell on her, Huaning lowered her head at a loss. Ruo Qiange looked out the window again and found that the courtyard was already filled with people. At this moment, if Qiange knew, he had already won this battle. The heroines feel even more guilty about themselves, and they will definitely find ways to make up for themselves. Then they can take the next step, which is self-mutilation, and finally commit suicide. With the compensation of the system, they can be reincarnated. Mo Yuan, how dare you reach out to my Ziyang sect disciples? Do you want to start a war with us? The sword in Hua Qingyan's hand was pointed at Mo Yuan, and her eyes, which were filled with the infinite charm of Huer, were now filled with murderous intent. Haha, Master Hua, please be patient. Mo Yuan played with the fingers in his hand and said calmly, I did not use strong methods to take Ruo Qiange away and take away the 2 supreme bones in his body. Instead, I chose to use this gentle method to set up a trap, using Jang Chen as a bargaining chip. And doesn't the real decision-making power of transplanting supreme bone or not lies with your disciples, precious master? Ha ha ha. Speaking of this, Mo Yuan covered her mouth and smiled. The charming laughter and the charming look of her covering her mouth made some of the disciples observing outside the window stare. Good burning. I really like this, a male disciple said as he wiped the saliva from his mouth. Come on, this is the 114,514th time I've heard you say this. It was your disciple's master who forced his apprentice to hand over the supreme bone. It was she who watched her apprentice's supreme bone be destroyed. What does it have to do with me? Mo Yuan said lightly. What are you talking about? Yiching Shu's eyes suddenly turned blood red, and the ice aura condensed into a frost-covered sword in her hand, and she stabbed Mo Yuan with one sword. Mo Yuan was very fast, he leaned slightly and hid. He held his cheek and looked at Yiching Shu with a playful expression. He, master, don't be anxious. What the little witch says can't be true. What the apprentice thinks is the most important thing. Master Yi might as well ask him himself, haha. Hearing this, Yiching Shu's face suddenly turned pale. Yes. What's the point of her teaching Mo Yuan a lesson? If Qian should be angry with her, it won't be any less. The sword in Yiching Shu's hand turned into ice aura and slowly disappeared. The hand holding the sword lowered feebly. She turned her head and looked at Ruo Qianj with complicated eyes, and murmured softly. Zhe. Gare. After noticing Yiching Shu's gaze, Ruo Qianj did not speak, but slowly closed her eyes. Yiching Shu choked up for a moment, and a drop of clear tears fell from her white face that could be broken with a finger. Congratulations to the host for successfully uncovering the truth of the matter and making the master regret it. Reward 1000 revenge points. Feeling comfortable, Ruo Qianj only felt a sense of joy in her heart. The novice mission has been successfully completed. Haha, you have already done such a thing. It is useless to say more. Master Demon Venerable must pay some price. Hua Qingyan, who had not spoken for a long time, spoke up. Of course, this matter is indeed the result of the little witch mishandling things, and you actually discovered it, he. Mo Yuan covered her mouth and smiled playfully, stretched out a hand, and soon a bone filled with black air appeared on her hand. She said leisurely. This is the demonic bone that I exploded from killing the ancient beast Teodi thousands of years ago in the ancient world. Its grade can definitely be regarded as the top among the high-level heaven level. It can be regarded as a small compensation. How about it? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the venue suddenly became excited. A high-ranking heaven-level person, I didn't expect that a witch with such a big hand would be willing to compensate for such precious demon bones. Yes. How could someone as beautiful and nice-spoken as Sister Witch do such a dirty thing? Jang Chen must be the mastermind, and he was so cunning that he deceived Sister Witch. That's right, this Jang Chen is absolutely hateful. Because it was someone who was praising him, Jang Chen listened with gusto, but when he heard people scolding him, he almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Mud. Do you think this is something a human being can say? Quiet. Hua Qingyan gave a cold drink, and the next second the court suddenly became quiet. The efficiency was quite fast. There are two reasons why he is so efficient. One is because he is the sect leader, their boss, and the other is. If the real witch in the ancient world is Mo Yuan, then Hua Qingyan is the little witch privately recognized by Ziyang sect disciples. Why do you say that? Because what she did was so unorthodox, and many disciples in the sect had lived in his shadow. So Hua Qingyan's reputation spread in the sect. From then on the disciples were very respectful to her, fearing that she would target them. It may not be obvious to say this, so let's give an example. If the sect starts an unwinnable sect war with other sects, then Hua Qingyan only needs to say, "Alas! You really let me down. After this war, we must all you accept me as your personal disciple, and I will teach you personally from now on, he. Then, just lie down, because this war is already won." So from another perspective, Hua Qingyan, the sect leader, is quite successful. Mo Yuan, would you be so generous as to give up a high-level demon bone at the heaven level? Why don't I believe it? Hua Qingyan said lightly. I have said that this is compensation for little brother Qianj. After all, he lost 2 supreme bones. Part of this is my fault. Mo Yue Hanqing said sincerely. Haha, if this bone had no side effects, you would have given it to Jang Chen long ago, so why bother setting up such a trap? The smile on Mo Yuihan's face was still strong, and he said, to be honest, there is indeed a little bit. Oh, tell me. Hua Qingyan was not surprised at all. After using this demon bone, the user's personality may change slightly, and there are other effects that even I don't know. Mo Yuan said with a smile. Hua Qingyan raised her eyebrows. She knew it would be like this. Change it. Gare won't want such a thing, Yiching Shu said coldly. Oh, okay then. Mo Yuan sighed with regret and was about to put the demon bone back into the spirit ring, but Ruo Qianj said, wait. Who said I don't want it? Junior brother, Song. Yiching Shu looked at Ruo Qianj blankly and said anxiously. No, after using this demon bone, your temperament will change drastically. What does it have to do with you? Ruo Qiange glanced at Yiching Shu coldly and interrupted her directly. Yiching Shu looked at Ruo Qiange blankly. This short sentence was so heavy for her, like a sharp blade, stabbing her heart so hard that she couldn't breathe. Yiching Shu's eyes were filled with tears. She didn't know why things turned out like this. Obviously. 2 days ago her apprentice would still be calling her master one after another, but now they're like enemies. The host severely broke Yiching Shu's heart and was rewarded with 1,500 revenge points. If Qian Zhe feels happy, these points of revenge will lay the foundation for his life after he is reincarnated in the dirt. He. This scene is really a bit sad. Looking at Yiching Shu, who seemed to have lost her soul, Mo Yuan teased happily. Since this compensation is for little brother Qiange and I agreed to it, then as a master, you should respect your opinion and don't force the apprentice to destroy himself like before, he. This sentence can be said to be murderous and heartbreaking, just like taking the knife from Yiching Shu's chest and then stabbing it in again. Mo Yuan walked slowly to Ruo Qiange, stuffed the demon bone into his hand, rubbed his head and said with a charming look, "Little brother, I leave this heaven-level demon bone to you. And tell me, sister, how do you plan to retaliate against your master in the future? Ha. Ruo Qiange did not answer her words, and moved a few steps behind her as if she was startled. There won't be anything dirty on your hands, right? Mo Yuan. Her face suddenly darkened. You are obviously a very clean person, okay? Ha, little brother is really funny. Sorry, because you really don't look like a clean person, Ruo Qiange joked. Mo Yuan put away the smile on his face, looked at Hua Qingyan and said, Sect Master Hua, since the matter has been resolved peacefully, I will take Jang Chen away. Please do it, our Ziyang sect doesn't need an insidious villain like Jang Chen anyway. Hua Qingyan said with a smile, and her words could be regarded as scolding Guji. You, the ancient world, dispatched demon venerable to invite the people who I, Ziyang sect, despised, back. Needless to say which force has the strength. He. Mo Yuan looked at Jang Chen, smiled and said, Let's go, my little Chen. After Jang Chen thought about it for a while, he nodded. There is no way, now the entire sect has misunderstood him, and it is obvious that there is no way to continue to stay. Brother Jang Chen. You can't abandon your junior sister. Surui suddenly grabbed Jang Chen's clothes. If Jang Chen leaves, Surui will only have one master, one senior sister and one senior brother left to talk to her. She will never allow this. Jang Chen was stunned and looked at the tearful Surui with complicated eyes. In fact, your brother Jang Chen doesn't want to leave, but if I don't leave, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by the people here. Junior sister Su, there is no such thing as a banquet that lasts forever. Please take care of yourself. Jang Chen gently pushed Surui away. Surui sighed. Let's go, I still have some things to do. Mo Yuan played with his fingers and said leisurely. The next second, 2 black whirlwinds rose from his body and Jang Chen's body. The next second, the black whirlwind disappeared, and the 2 figures disappeared. Thump. Surui's eyes were dull and she knelt down directly on the ground. Her brother Jang Chen is gone, and the brother Jang Chen who talks to her day and night is gone. In fact, it's not that Surui really values this relationship, it's just that she hasn't found a substitute. If she had, her mood would immediately get better. White-eyed wolf, why don't you follow your brother Jang Chen? Ha. I was laughing so hard. There was a burst of ridicule outside the house. Get away from me. Hua Qingyan glanced outside the door lightly. The noisy sounds 1 second ago suddenly disappeared, and the next second there was no one left outside the house. Hua Qingyan. Is this sect master that terrible? This is really distressing. Qingshui, now you should trust your apprentice, right? So, people really have to have their own subjective judgment. Hua Qingyan patted Yiching Shu on the shoulder. Yiching Shu was still in a daze, not knowing what she was thinking. Elders, if nothing happens, I will leave first. Ruo Qiange took the demon bones back into the spirit ring, bowed his hands to everyone, and walked out the door. When he walked next to Yiching Shu, he was stopped. Disciple. Yi Qingshui's originally gentle voice seemed a little weak at this time. Are you still blaming Master? Ruo Qianzhi paused, thought for a while and said, Master brought my life back, so how can I blame you? Even if you take my life back, I won't have any complaints. Okay, but I won't let you die. After hearing these words, Yi Qingshui's pale face gained a little more color. She turned her head and hugged Ruo Qianzhi in her arms, and said with tears in her eyes, Don't worry, Master will definitely find a way for you. Listen to Master, you can't take this demon bone. Master will find a good spiritual object for you. Ruo Qianzhi originally wanted to say, None of your business. But when she felt the Master's trembling body and the words that were said intermittently, she couldn't say it for a moment. Forget it, let Master take it easy first. Anyway, sooner or later, he will commit suicide and be reincarnated in the dirt. Give her a glimmer of hope first and then give her despair. In this case, she will suffer twice. Jia Jia Jia. Ruo Qianzhi suddenly felt that she had become a little abnormal. It's all the system's fault. Okay, Master. Ruo Qianzhi nodded. Because Ruo Qianzhi was half a head taller than Yi Qingshui, and because Yi Qingshui was half a head shorter when she took the initiative to hug him, Ruo Qianzhi's face was pressed against Yi Qingshui's hair. Hearing that Ruo Qianzhi was willing to call her Master, Yi Qingshui immediately became even happier. Qianzhi, tell Master, what kind of spiritual object do you want? Even the Master above the mountain and the sea of fire will get it for you. No need. Ruo Qianzhi shook his head. I will never practice again in the future, I will just be an ordinary person. Ah. Why? Yi Qingshui was a little distracted. Could it be because of the loss of Supreme Bone? I have lost the meaning of cultivation, and I no longer have the motivation. Now I just want to be an ordinary person and survive on all kinds of spiritual vegetables. Ruo Qianzhi said lightly. There is a trap in his words. It is to guide Yi Qingshui to think about the meaning of his own cultivation. Then he will think of what he said to him when he was a child, I must practice hard, and when I grow up, I will protect the Master. Ruo Qianzhi was actually a very lazy child, and she practiced hard because she wanted to protect her Master. Yi Qingshui used this to trick Ruo Qianzhi into practicing when she was a child, so she still knew this. I said I didn't want to practice because I was too disappointed in Master. At the same time, it was demonstrated that Ruo Qianzhi's statement that he only practiced to protect his Master and sister was not a lie. When Master thinks about these things clearly, won't he be deeply moved and guilty? Sure enough, after hearing these words, Yi Qingshui's eyes dimmed a little. Not only Yi Qingshui, but also Leng Huaning on the side had such a reaction. They knew that they were deeply hurt by Ruo Qianzhi. Okay, Master, I promise you. Yi Qingshui choked with sobs. Let me go quickly, Ruo Qianzhi said fiercely. After bidding farewell to everyone, Ruo Qianzhi returned to the courtyard, but when he turned around, he saw Leng Huaning following him. Sister, why are you following me? The injury on your shoulder. Leng Huaning lowered her head and said softly. Didn't I say that I just want to live a quiet life alone? Why do you still bother me? Ruo Qianzhi glared at Leng Huaning fiercely. Leng Huaning's guilt immediately deepened after receiving such a glare. She knows that Ruo Qianzhi hates her to the extreme and has reached the point where she doesn't want to see her. I'll change the medicine on your wound and leave. Leng Huaning raised her head and tried her best not to shed tears. Change? I told you to change. If Qianzhi pulled the bandage hard, the friction of the bandage would directly tear the wound, and blood would flow out continuously. Do you want to change it again? Ruo Qianzhi directly threw the bandage in her hand to the ground. Seeing Ruo Qianzhi's sudden move, Leng Huaning didn't react for a moment. Woo! After reacting, Leng Huaning turned around and ran out of the yard. Leng Huaning really couldn't bear this grievance. She was also caring about Ruo Qianzhi's injury for Ruo Qianzhi's good. Why didn't this guy understand? The host successfully broke Leng Huaning's heart again and was rewarded with 500 revenge points. After half a stick of incense, after confirming that Leng Huaning had left, Ruo Qianzhi's sullen face finally turned livid. Damn it, it hurts me to death. Ruo Qianzhi picked up the bandage on the ground, used the clean side to bandage her wound, and then breathed a sigh of relief after the bleeding stopped. This villain is really hard to be a villain, he does bad things every day. Ruo Qiange smiled bitterly and shook his head. Hey, yo, little Gare is quite arrogant, she even drove that little girl away. At this moment, a soft and charming voice with a hint of teasing sounded. Why does it sound familiar? Could it be her? Ruo Qiange turned her head carefully and saw Hua Qingyan, who was wearing a pink dress and smiling at her with her arms behind her. Ah, it's you? Ruo Qiange was immediately frightened and took a few steps back. There was no way. Hua Qingyan's shadow in Ruo Qiange's heart was too big. Although she looks beautiful, her behavior is really too immoral. Haha, seeing Ruo Qiange's reaction, Hua Qingyan held her fair chin in her hand and was very satisfied. This child is still so afraid of himself, alas. Hua Qingyan walked towards Ruo Qiange step by step, and finally walked up to him and whispered into his ear. How about we make a bet? Ruo Qiange didn't reply, but subconsciously took a few steps back. This is the deepest fear in the heart, and it is also the deepest fear of every Ziyang sect disciple. And coupled with the mystery of the leader of a sect, Ruo Qiange still seems to be more cautious. Hua. What bet? Ruo Qiange didn't dare to look at Hua Qingyan and whispered. Seeing that Ruo Qiange was so afraid of herself, Hua Qingyan felt more confident. She cleared her throat and said, Ahem, this bet is a bet on whether you will listen to Master. Cultivate obediently by her side, and get along well with the senior sister, and at the same time, don't hurt either of them. I bet you do. Hua Qingyan smiled slightly. Ruo Qiange blinked and looked at Hua Qingyan in disbelief. Isn't she kidding? You're betting on yourself with such a stupid question? I bet I can't. Ruo Qiange's lips curled up. The hands and feet are on his body, and the advantage is mine. He can do whatever he wants, how could he still lose? Since there is a bet, there will naturally be a price to pay for winning or losing. If I win, how about you give me the demon bone in your hand? What if you lose? Ruo Qiange asked. Since the punishment for losing is so big, the reward for winning must also be big. If Qian Zhe felt a little excited, the sect leader must be very generous if he was so powerful. If you win, then how about I be your Taoist companion? Hua Qingyan said and winked at Ruo Qiange teasingly. Is this reward big? Ha ha ha. Ruo Qiange. He finally understood. What kind of bet was this? It was clearly a threat to himself, asking him to forgive his master and senior sister. How has he ever been so angry? I won't bet anymore. Ruo Qiange said with a dark face. Don't gamble? Hua Qingyan held her chin in her hand and looked Ruo Qiange up and down. If you don't want to bet, then I will tell everyone in the sect that our engagement will be held tomorrow. It just so happens that I have never been married before, so I haven't. What does it feel like to have enjoyed love? Damn. Ruo Qiange was dumbfounded. What kind of sect leader is this? He is clearly the Mountain King in the mountain. He can say whatever he wants and do whatever he wants, he doesn't care at all. He was a bit doubtful that his sect was just a decent force on the surface, but secretly it was a den of bandits, and Hua Qingyan was the king of this den of bandits. Sure enough, there was a reason why all the disciples in the sect were afraid. So shameless. What, are you scared? Looking at Ruo Qiange with his head lowered, Hua Qingyan said proudly. So do you want to bet or not? Ruo Qiange did not answer in a hurry, but looked Hua Qingyan up and down. She has a curvy figure, fair and translucent skin, a beautiful nose and jade ears, attractive white collarbones on her chest, long legs that reveal her skirt, and her white hair shawl is full of fairy spirit. Although she has a mature charm, she looks just ordinary, just like a 20-year-old girl. In fact, it doesn't seem that difficult to accept. Okay, I agree to your bet. Ruo Qiange sighed and looked embarrassed. After hearing this, Hua Qingyan finally felt relieved and patted Ruo Qiange on the shoulder. Your master and I are good sisters, don't make her sad again. Yeah, definitely. Ruo Qiange nodded. And I only allow the two of us to know about this matter. Hua Qingyan's expression suddenly became serious. Hua Qingyan was afraid that if Yi Qingshui found out about this, Yi Qingshui would be tempted to break her legs. Don't worry, how could such a thing be said out loud? Ruo Qiange patted his chest and assured, with the person I am like Ruo Qiange, You should be at ease. That's right, then I won't bother you. Because she knew that Ruo Qiange was afraid of her. Hua Qingyan simply didn't wait any longer and left after explaining how to please her master. After Hua Qingyan left, Ruo Qiange quickly entered the state. How should she act badly to make her master and senior sister angry? Ruo Qiange has been a very obedient child since she was a child. Yes, visit the brothel. It just so happens that Ruo Qiange is also a little curious about what brothels in this world look like. Of course, it's just curiosity and absolutely no other thoughts. Just do it. Without too much hesitation, Ruo Qiange directly summoned his sword, Nine Heavens Sword, and flew with it. There is no way, his current realm is only the Spirit General realm, and the fastest way to travel is to use a vehicle. Ziyang Sect is about 1,000 kilometers away from the nearest town, but Ruo Qiange's speed is still very fast, and it only took less than 2 hours to reach the destination. Pity Garden. Ruo Qiange looked at the huge building sign and sighed in her heart. It is indeed the largest brothel in the city, it is really heroic. Ruo Qiange walked in without hesitation. When Ruo Qiange walked into the store, she didn't know what to do because it was her first time here, so she followed the flow of people to the second floor. Handsome guy, wait a minute. Ruo Qiange paused for a moment, then realized that it was not him who was calling him, so he continued walking awkwardly inside, only to be blocked by another graceful woman. Young master, look left and right. It must be your first time here, right? The woman in green said flatteringly. Ruo Qiange nodded and did not deny it. When she heard this, the woman's eyes suddenly lit up. It seemed that this was her first time here and she could make a big killing. I'm Ruyi. I wonder what your master's orders are. Ruyi bowed. I want to discuss my skills. Poetry with your Oran here. Can you take me over to find her? Ruo Qiange cleared her throat and said. Ruyi did not speak, but smiled and stretched out a hand. Oh, I understand. Ruo Qiange took out a treasure note and put it in Ruyi's hand. Ruyi's eyes suddenly lit up. She stuffed the treasure money into her clothes and said with a smile, it's on the second floor. Ruo Qiange. Why are you blocking my way on the second floor? It's just too much. When Ruo Qiange wanted to go in again, she was stopped by Ruyi again. What's wrong? Ruo Qiange asked confused. Sir, you haven't paid the entrance fee yet. Damn it, Ruo Qiange suddenly felt like a dead dog. After paying the fee, Ruo Qiange finally got his wish and walked to the club on the second floor. Can you discuss your skills with the Oran now? However, he will be disappointed in the end. After entering the club, I did see the Oran, but the Oran was standing on the stage. He was in the audience, and there were many scholars and dignitaries sitting in the audience, staring directly at the Oran in thin clothes on the stage. Is it really that beautiful? Ruo Qiange wiped the water stains from the corners of her mouth and found a place to sit down. Kiki, I believe all of you gentlemen know the rules in the garden. On the stage, the charming voice of the Oran sounded. I know, Aran, please stop talking nonsense, I'm still waiting to have sex with you. A rough man shouted impatiently. Miss Chu Shui's face turned slightly red, she covered her mouth and giggled. Haha, the little girl is from the Qing dynasty and only performs entertainment. The guest officer was just joking, but since everyone is anxious, the little girl won't talk nonsense. All the talented people here will write a poem about me. If the little girl likes it, we can have a good night together. Okay. After a while, some bold talents and wealthy children took out the poems they had prepared and read them aloud, but none of them caught the eyes of Miss Chu Shui. Ruo Qiange was not in a hurry and quietly watched these people take action from the audience. Let the bullets fly for a while, and then you can have poems to complement your own poems. No, it is to complement the subtleties of 300 Tang poems. Brother, I see that you are very impressive, so you must also be interested in discussing life with the Oran, right? At this moment, a voice sounded from Ruo Qiange's side. Ruo Qiange turned around and saw a young man wearing white clothes and holding a folding fan. He had good looks and neat clothes. He should be capable. But if you look closely, you can see that there are 2 big dark circles on his face, probably from staying up late. Haha, isn't it true that brother is like this too? Ruo Qiange smiled back. Then why haven't you taken action yet? The man in white said with a smile. Haha. Then why don't you take action? Well, of course I want to give everyone here a chance, because once I take action you won't have the heart to read your own poems. The man in white waved the folding fan in his hand with a proud look on his face. Alas, the young man is still too young and doesn't know what the power of cheating is. Ruo Qiange just smiled slightly. Haha, it seems that the young master is really a good person. Haha, brother, you are joking. The man in white cupped his hand. If Qiange planned to take action, she would probably slap the young man in white next to her in the face if she waited any longer. Ahem. Ruo Qiange snatched the folding fan from the young man in white, stood up and waved the fan. Hello, Ms. Aran. How about I make a bet with you? The young man in white. Oh, what kind of bet do you want to make, young master? The Oran smiled politely. I bet you and I will discuss life together tonight. Okay. Then I'll wait and see, hee. If the girl wins the bet, then I wish the girl a bright future. If I win, I wish you will be with me for the rest of your life. Ruo Qiange shook her flowing hair. The Aran's face was a little red. She has never seen this routine before. Brother, what a trick. The young man in white clapped his hands and said with a smile, but Miss Aran won't put too much water on it because of this. I'm going to start reciting. Ruo Qiange picked up the wine on the table and took a sip. The clouds are like the clothes, the flowers are like the face, and the spring breeze is blowing the threshold and the dew is strong. If we hadn't seen him at the top of Canoe Mountain, he would have met at Yaotai under the moon. After finishing speaking, drink all the wine in the glass. The following 2,000 shocking words are omitted. The face of the young man in white is a little ugly. He was boasting before, but now he is slapped in the face, right? This poem can be described as shocking the past and the present. Is the young master really willing to give him to me who met by chance? The Oran wiped away the tears of emotion with his sleeves. Well, I have been hiding this poem since I was a child. Today I fell in love with Miss Chusui at first sight, so I took it out. Ruo Qiange said affectionately. To be honest, teasing the Oran is quite fun. The host successfully made Lang Huaning jealous and broke her heart. The host will be rewarded with 500 plus 1,000 system points. Ruo Qiange paused when he heard this. Mater, is this woman so perverted? I have to follow him wherever he goes. Will he become a yandere in the future? But it's just the right time to come. Ruo Qiange's lips curled up. Ruo Qiange walked up to the stage, took the Aran's jade hand, and said affectionately, to be honest, this poem was actually written when I was 6 years old. Unfortunately, I have never found a suitable beauty to give it to. To this day, there are 10 yen. I know you are the destined person I am waiting for. He said this to Lang Huaning, which means that I would rather give a poem to a stranger whom I met for the first time than to give a poem to you who I have been in love with for 10 years. The host successfully made Lang Huaning jealous and severely damaged her heart. Revenge points 1,000 plus 2,000. The corners of Ruo Qiange's mouth raised slightly. He just likes this feeling. Jia. I don't know the name of the young master, I'm really ashamed. The Oran wiped away tears of emotion. Just call me Mr. Qian. Yes, Master Qian. Let's go, Miss Chusui. Let's go to your room and discuss it in detail. Ruo Qiange put her arms around Miss Chusui's shoulders and walked towards the audience. The host makes Lang Huaning sad again. Revenge points plus 1,000. After arriving at the suite, there is a screen in front of the bed and a table under the window, which is probably used for chatting with the Oran. Master Qian, let me play a piece of music for you. Chusui girl smiled brightly. No, I don't want these frivolous things. Ruo Qiange shook her head decisively. Chu Shui was stunned for a moment, then bowed. Master Qian, I am from the Qing Palace. But don't you and I love each other? Ruo Qiange grasped Chu Shui's jade hand, which was as white as green onion, with an affectionate look on her face. The host once again made Lang Huaning sad. Revenge points plus 2,000. If you and I are really in love, why should we care about this moment of pleasure? Chu Shui grabbed Ruo Qiange's hand. Did you lie to me? You don't really like me at all. As he spoke, he wiped his tears sadly. Ruo Qianzhi frowned and said impatiently. Then what do you think can be done? Miss Chu Shui shook her head. I have been told that I am from the Qing dynasty. Stop saying this again, I'm asking you what can I do? You have to pay more. Ruo Qianzhi. Haha, people from the Qing dynasty. Haha, what a person who doesn't care about sex. However, in order to earn some revenge points, Ruo Qianzhi reluctantly took out a bag of gold. Master Qian, I am sure that I have completely fallen in love with you. Chu Shui looked at Ruo Qianzhi with love in her eyes. The gold bag in her hand. Haha, I think you like the money I have, Ruo Qianzhi said without giving any face. Hee, how could you say that, sir? Miss Chu Shui carefully put away Ruo Qianzhi's money bag, then took Ruo Qianzhi's hand and walked to the bed, saying as she walked, I will ask you later to see how deep my love for you is. Boom. At this moment, the sound of broken windows sounded. Oh. This sudden noise really startled Chu Shui, and he got into the bed. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Ruo Qianzhi. He turned his attention to the window again and found a figure in green squatting on one foot on the table. It was Lang Huaning. Haha. Can't you help but jump out after all? Qianzhi. Why did you come to a place like this? Lang Huaning looked at Ruo Qianzhi with complicated eyes. Lang Huaning jumped to the ground and looked at Ruo Qianzhi with complicated eyes. Her eyes were a little red, as if she had cried before. Why can't I come? Ruo Qianzhi looked at her fingers indifferently. You. Lang Huaning looked at Ruo Qianzhi blankly, unable to say a complete sentence for a long time. I don't know why, her heart hurts, it really hurts. You are not such a person. Lang Huaning sniffed and said. I am such a person. Ruo Qianzhi nodded. I used to pretend, whether it was doing good deeds, respecting the master, being polite, being upright, etc. I was all pretending. I am a hypocrite, and I have exposed it today. Miss Lang, you are you now, and I am me. People change, ha ha ha. As she spoke, Ruo Qianzhi couldn't help but laugh. I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted you. Can you stop being angry? Lang Huaning wiped the tears from her eyes. I'm not angry. You're talking nonsense. Oh, so why did you break into the room? Ruo Qianzhi said calmly. Lang Huaning's eyes were red and she said in a trembling voice. Come back to the sect with me. Go away. I can come back if I want to, or if I don't want to. I'm such a big man and I don't need you to take care of me. I don't need to take care of it. Lang Huaning repeated this sentence with a trembling voice, and her heart ached even more. Revenge points plus 1000. Yeah, who do you think you are? Haha. Revenge points plus 1500. Qianzhi. You came here on purpose to make me and Master angry, right? Are you worthy of being narcissistic? Lang Huaning sniffed and wiped the tears from her eyes again. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Forgive me, please. Woo woo woo. As she spoke, Lang Huaning couldn't help crying again. Ruo Qianzhi looked at the crying Lang Huaning expressionlessly. Although he felt a little uncomfortable in his heart, he still would not make any move. Ruo Qianzhi found a stool and sat down, cupping her cheeks and watching with interest Lang Huaning, who was squatting half-crouched with her head buried in her green skirt. She was as fascinated as watching the life of a rare animal. After about a stick of incense, Lang Huaning's crying finally stopped, leaving only the sound of sobbing. Have you cried enough? Ha ha ha. Ruo Qianzhi's laughter was full of ridicule. Ooh. Lang Huaning started crying again. The host severely damaged Lang Huaning's soul again. Revenge points plus 999. Jia Jia Jia. The host is really bad. Cry. You cry slowly. I'm going to talk to the Oran lady. Don't look at me this way, ha ha ha. After Ruo Qianzhi finished speaking, she walked towards the bed. This is a sure blow. Revenge points plus 2888. Thump. There was a sound from behind, and if Ruo Qianzhi turned her head, she saw Lang Huaning lying on the ground. He must have fainted from anger. Well, is it that serious? I didn't hit anyone, I just said a few words. Ruo Qianzhi shook her head and patted the shoulder of the Oran on the bed. Don't kill me, don't kill me, woo woo woo. The Aran's body shook even more violently. Ruo Qianzhi. Take a good look at who I am. I haven't figured out who you are yet. Leave quickly. I won't report it to the government. Don't kill me. The Oran knew that as long as he saw who the other party was, he would never survive. Then you listen to my voice? I don't hear the voice either, huh? Why does it sound familiar? The Oran turned his head in confusion, and then he saw clearly that the person coming was Ruo Qiange, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Where's the assassin? Promise. Ruo Qiange pointed at Leng Huaning lying on the ground. But he is not an assassin, but my senior sister. Ruo Qiange smiled bitterly and shook his head. Senior sister? Why did your senior sister come to the brothel? Maybe he wanted to take me back, but I wasn't very skilled at it, so he accidentally slipped and fell and fainted. Ooh. What do you mean, young master? Ruo Qiange took out 1 or 2 treasure bills and said, find 2 maids and put her in a clean room. Nothing happens, or I will slay you Lien Huayuan. Ruo Qiange's last words were accentuated, and she looked at the Oran with cold eyes. The Oran was instantly startled by Ruo Qiange's cold eyes, and she recovered and said, okay, young master. The Oran carefully took the treasure note, and then followed Ruo Qiange's instructions. He came back after burning incense. Sir, everything is done. The Oran bowed. Ruo Qiange nodded and looked up and down at the Oran. She has a curvy figure, bulging forward and backward, and her long white legs exposed by her thin clothes are extremely attractive. But after what happened just now, Ruo Qiange was no longer in the mood. Sit down and chat with me. What? The Oran couldn't believe her ears. Well, chat with me. Okay, sir. The Oran also found a stool and sat down. What do you want to talk about, master? Let me see. Ruo Qiange thought for a while. How about just chatting, role-playing? Huh? What do you mean? The Oran was a little confused. That is, I introduce you to the characteristics of a character, and then you get involved in this character. Okay, no problem. The Oran nodded. Anyway, if Qiange paid so much money, let alone just playing games, she could even sleep if she wanted to. You are a genius in the sect. When you were 4 years old, you were accepted as a direct disciple by a powerful elder. The master was very demanding. Your life was shrouded in endless loneliness. One day when you were 6 years old, in the year, master accepted another disciple. He is like a light illuminating your world. Ruo Qiange told Leng Huaning's life direction. Could it be that the young master is the man in the story, and the young master's senior sister is the girl in the story? The Oran asked cautiously. Yeah, that's right, you have to keep it a secret for me, or else I'll destroy your garden. Don't worry, young master, although the little girl is not smart, she still understands these things. Ruo Qiange nodded and said, if you were my senior sister, what would I do to make you sad? Aran. Brother, what do you want to do by asking this? Could it be that you want to use it on senior sister? Really good at playing. Ahem. Master, let me think about it carefully. But after all, if Qiange paid for it, the Oran still had to do things. Does the young master want to take revenge on her? Yes, I want ruthless revenge. Good. The Oran fell into deep thought. If what I expected is correct, with so many years of relationship, the senior sister somewhat likes the young master, right? And according to the young master's description, I think she should have fallen in love with the young master. Haha, you are overthinking. If she liked me, would she say such hurtful words to me for Jang Chen? When I destroyed both bones, there was no reaction. Do you think I was a scapegoat? Ruo Qiange sneered. Giggle. Young master said, is it possible that Leng Huaning didn't know her feelings for young master? After experiencing this incident, she was stimulated, and the deepest feelings in her heart burst out. Only then did she realize it turns out that I can't lose the young master in my life. The Oran chuckled. It's not that she can't lose me in her life, it's just that she hasn't found a replacement, Ruo Qiange corrected. Haha, what the young master said is wrong. These things also vary from person to person. For some people, people and items can indeed be replaced in their lives. But for people who value feelings, you are you and he is him. They cannot be replaced, even after you die. There are endless people similar to you, and they are irreplaceable. Through the story told by the young master, from what I can see, The young master's senior sister is the second type of person. Miss Aran really knows a lot. She can become a master outside the world and enlighten all sentient beings. Why does she need to stay in this dusty place? Ruo Qiange sneered, his words full of ridicule. Haha, women understand women best. That's why I know the young master's senior sister, so I dare to make such an analysis. And the little girl had no choice but to come to this place. If the young master doesn't believe it, just pretend that the little girl never said anything. Looking at the Oran, who still had a smile on her face and was light and airy, Ruo Qiange was slightly moved. Then you can analyze my master for me. Okay, sir, please be more specific. So Ruo Qiange also told Yunyan about her past with Yiching Shu. It seems that the young master's master should be a person who values emotions, is kind-hearted but indecisive. The Oran thought for a while and said, how did the Oran figure it out? My master, regards my apprentice's life as more important than my own, and this is about emphasizing feelings. From the many small and big things described by the young master, we can judge that the master is a kind-hearted but indecisive person. Ruo Qiange nodded approvingly. It would be a pity if the girl doesn't become a monk. Aran. Ahem. The young master is joking. The little girl can wait for Yuan to enlighten me here. Isn't the young master the Yuan I want to wait for? The Oran said with a smile. Okay, then you can analyze my junior sister for me. Follow the master's orders. So Ruo Qiange told the story of Surui and herself again. As the Oran listened, his brows furrowed more and more, and in the end, the hand holding the wine glass couldn't help but tremble. After finishing speaking, Ruo Qiange looked at the Aran's uncomfortable reaction and said with a smile, I didn't expect the girl to be a sweetheart. This Surui has gone too far. She has wronged the young master's affection, the Oran said through clenched teeth. Then tell me how I should retaliate against her. Upon hearing these words, the Aran's eyes suddenly lit up. People like Surui have a mean temperament and don't care about the things they get. They even trample on the dignity of the young master at will because they think it is eternal. And she doesn't have many friends in the sect. The young master can ignore her, and he can be angry with her, but it should be less. The best way is to guide her to think about her mistakes over the years and let her fall into deep regret. Give her a little more hope at the critical moment and keep her hanging on. The young master must remember not to hit her or scold her, otherwise she will soon get out of this irreparable relationship, which can take as short as 1 year or as long as 5 years. If the young master is like what I said above, the young master can hang on to her for the rest of his life, Looking at the smiling Aran, Ruo Qiange shuddered all over. Madhu, this person is even more ruthless than me. Otherwise, this revenge mission will be carried out by you, right? Young master and I had a very enjoyable chat. The Oran smiled and took out a money bag and 2 treasure notes. All the money will be returned to the young master. Ruo Qiange was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. This is what you deserve. I paid you to receive me. Haha, I usually receive some sanctimonious scholars who claim to be gentlemen, or some dignitaries, but their intentions are all my body. Only the young master is willing to fall in love with me, and not for me, body. The Oran wiped the tears from her eyes and looked at Ruo Qiange with emotion. Ruo Qiange felt a little embarrassed. He actually wanted to say that my original goal was your body, but it was just because something happened later that I suddenly lost my appetite. Forget it, just think of it as a white lie, otherwise the Oran girl will probably cry. So please be sure to take the money back. This is a sign of respect for me, the Oran said seriously. Ruo Qiange nodded and took the money back. Just when he was about to store it in the spiritual ring, he seemed to have thought of something and looked at the Oran and said, Can I take this money to sleep with you tomorrow? Aran snapped. Ruo Qiange was slapped. Ahem, Aran girl, I'm kidding you. Ruo Qiange touched her sore face. Haha, of course I know the young master is joking. The Oran covered her mouth and smiled. Burst task detected. Leng Huaning has been worried about Master Kong at this time, and asked the host's assistant to save her at the critical moment so that she would not be brutally attacked. She also said the words, I am the only one who can bully her, understand, and then the matter was concealed. This matter will be exposed after the host commits suicide, and Huaning will feel even more guilty by then. Completing the mission will reward you with 5,000 revenge points. Ruo Qiange was dumbfounded for a moment. No, big brother, are you having such a good time? It is expected that Huaning will provide millions more system points to the host in the future. Okay, I'll just do it. The purpose of this system is to carry out spiritual revenge on the heroine who owes Ruo Qiange, and not in other aspects, so the host must complete this task. Avoid Huaning from being harmed. Ruo Qiange scratched his head in confusion. He really felt that this system was very strange. The revenge system is obviously named revenge system, but the acts of revenge it can carry out are limited to the spiritual aspect. What is this trying to do? It's not good, it's not good. At this moment, the door of the room was pushed open, and a maid hurriedly ran in. After running in front of the Oran, she knelt down with a plop. Miss, it's not good. Mr. Kong has taken a fancy to the one you arranged for your servant to take care of, girl. What? The Oran was so angry that he stood up. Didn't I tell you that he was a distinguished guest? How dare that bastard? My slave said the same thing, but Mr. Kong said that he really likes this and can pay more. Well, Ruo Qiange didn't listen anymore, stood up and grabbed the maid's shoulder directly. Lead the way. Well, the maid was obviously more courageous and was not afraid of Ruo Qiange. After nodding, she led the two of them outside a guest room. Walking into the room, you can see that there is a maid standing next to the bed. In front of the maid is a young man in white, with a sinister smile on his face. Get out of the way, get out of the way, I can add money. I really mean this, like it. No, Mr. Kong. The lady said, this is an honored guest, so I can't. Ruo Qiange. Isn't this young Master Kong the young man in white that I knew before? Ruo Qiange directly grabbed Master Kong's shoulders and pulled him aside. What are you doing? Young Master Kong stared at Ruo Qiange angrily. Brother, do you still remember me? Ruo Qiange smiled slightly. Mr. Kong was stunned at first, and after looking Ruo Qiange up and down for a while, he suddenly realized. It turns out he is a great talent. What? Why did the great talent come to find me instead of discussing life with the Oran girl? Haha, to tell you the truth, the girl on the bed is my senior sister. Ruo Qiange smiled slightly. Senior sister. Hearing these words, Master Kong's eyes suddenly dimmed. He had already guessed what Ruo Qiange was here to do. Senior sister, junior brother. It's obvious that they love each other. No. Why did your senior sister come to the brothel? Young Master Kong frowned immediately. Haha. She is here to take me back. Oh, isn't it possible that the relationship between the young master and the senior sister is not harmonious? Young Master Kong asked doubtfully. Of course, Ruo Qiange couldn't tell everyone her true intentions. She nodded and admitted, yes, I hate her very much. She is like this because I am mad at her. Oh, I got it. Hearing this, Mr. Kong felt relieved again. As long as the relationship is not harmonious, it will be easy to handle. Since the young master is at odds with this girl, how about I help the young master teach her a lesson? It will leave a deep impression on her life. Hearing this, Ruo Qiange's eyebrows wrinkled and said, if you want to have sex, then I can give you the Oran, and you don't need an outsider to take care of the affairs between me and my senior sister. The Chusui girl on the side. 6, haha, brother, you don't understand. Just now when the maid was hugging brother, I took a glance at the girl's appearance. She was as beautiful as a celestial immortal. She was pure and untainted. She was much prettier than that shitty Oran. Chusui girl. 666, brother, please don't stop me. Young Master Kong didn't want to talk nonsense anymore, so he walked directly to the bed, violently pushed away the maid who was guarding the bed, and looked at the girl in the green skirt on the bed, whose face was so pale that it made me feel pity, and her eyes were getting more and more painful. Yu Liang. Hey, little lady, I'm coming. Just when he was about to pounce, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The next second, a black thing continued to enlarge in front of him. Thump. Young Master Kong was knocked to the ground by a punch. Ruo Qiange pulled up her collar and stared into Master Kong's eyes with cold eyes. I am the only one who can bully her, do you understand? Feeling the cold murderous intent in his cold eyes, young Master Kong was so frightened that he couldn't say a word for a long time. Okay. Okay. Sir, please spare my life, young Master Kong said tremblingly, and a pool of golden liquid flowed out of his crotch. Damn it. Ruo Qiange threw Master Kong away and said coldly, if you still dare to have such thoughts, I will kill your whole family, why don't you get out of here? Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir, thank you, sir. Young Master Kong kowtowed to Ruo Qiange a few times, then ran out of the room in a hurry. Ruo Qiange smelled the smell of urine, frowned, looked at the maid aside and said, give her a clean room. The maid did not speak, but looked at the Oran. After getting the Aran's nod, she followed the instructions. After the maids left, there were only 2 people left in the court. The Oran blinked at Ruo Qiange. Actually, you still care about that girl? Why can't you let go of your dignity? If Qiange was speechless after hearing this, how should she explain it? It cannot be said that Leng Huaning is the heroine and she has a system to make the heroine stronger through revenge. Ahem. No matter how bad the relationship between senior sister and I is, it's not her turn to be bullied by an outsider. Ruo Qiange cleared her throat and said. What he said is indeed true. Leng Huaning, a person who cared so much about strength, later cut off his wings and compensated him with a Lotus Lantern. Although it was confiscated, it was at least more pleasing to Surui's eyes. Haha, I understand. The Oran smiled and nodded, not choosing to expose it. As long as you understand, remember to instruct those maids not to tell anything about what just happened. Yeah, just do as you wish. The Oran nodded. The #1 genius of the Ziyang sect. I was the #1 genius, and now I have the greatest appeal in the entire sect. I owe you a favor. Ruo Qiange patted the Oran on the shoulder. I say this because, firstly, Ruo Qiange does owe a favor, and secondly, by giving both kindness and power, he can better let the Oran do things. After all, the other party did not collect his money. Mission completed. Revenge points plus 5000, I'll go back first. After bidding farewell to the Oran, Ruo Qiange rushed back towards the sect. I don't know if it was because of the night, but Ruo Qiange's return to the sect was much slower than when she came. After returning to my yard, it was already midnight, the dead of night. If Qiange was lying on the bed, it was pouring rain outside and the sound of the rain was so loud that he couldn't fall asleep. I don't know how long it took before I fell asleep. The next morning, looking at Lian Huayuan, Leng Huaning opened her eyes in a daze, looking at the unfamiliar environment around her and feeling a little dazed for a moment. Where is this? Leng Huaning scratched her painful head. Yes, I fainted last night. Leng Huaning laughed to herself. He sat on the bed blankly for a while, then smoothed his messy hair, simply straightened his clothes and appearance, then jumped to the window with a tap of his toes, and quickly walked away into the distance. Early in the morning, there was a knock on the door. Ruo Qiange got up impatiently, opened the door, and found Hua Qingyan in pink clothes, who was looking at her with a smile on her face. Is there something wrong with sect leader Hua? Ruo Qiange cupped her hands. Haha, I came here this time to ask you and my master, senior sister. Well, forget about the junior sister, how do you get along with them? Hua Qingyan smiled. Well, we get along very well. I had a pleasant exchange with my senior sister yesterday. Ruo Qiange said with a smile. That's good. Hua Qingyan nodded with satisfaction, but she didn't have any doubts. After all, she knew Hua Qingyan's reputation and character best, and coupled with her shadow in Ruo Qiange's heart, Ruo Qiange didn't dare to lie to herself at all. Master Sect Master, couldn't you just come in? Why do you have to knock on the door? Ruo Qiange said calmly. As the leader of a sect, I naturally have to observe etiquette. How can I break into a private house without the permission of the disciples of the sect? Haha. Are you sure you didn't sneak in before knocking on the door? Ruo Qiange sneered. It would be extremely abnormal for Hua Qingyan not to do this kind of thing. Of course not. Hua Qingyan said without blushing or heartbeat. Ruo Qiange was too lazy to tell Hua Qingyan. If there is nothing else, sect leader Hua, please come back. There is no way, This woman is even more shameless than him, and she will only suffer if we chat for a long time. Does Qian Zhe dislike this sect leader so much? Hua Qingyan smiled slightly. I don't mind it, but we really have nothing to talk about. Ruo Qianzhi shook her head and smiled bitterly. Okay. Remember, you must get along well with master and senior sister, otherwise he. With these words Hua Qingyan left like Tongyun. She has the demeanor of an immortal, but it's a pity that it's a little too immoral. Ruo Qianzhi shook her head and stopped thinking about Hua Qingyan. After washing and eating breakfast, she started thinking about what she should do today. Farming? Bored and tired? Practicing and cultivating? This is even more unnecessary. What kind of kung fu is Goldfinger practicing? And he wants to take revenge on his master and sister, so he can't practice kung fu. Then continue to seek revenge from them? It has been 3 days since Ruo Qianzhi came to this world. She has been focusing on revenge and collecting revenge points. It seems that she has never given herself a holiday. So if Qian Zhe is not going to mess with Leng Huaning or Yiching Shu today, she can go to the sect to have some fun. After all, the sect is so big, there must be a lot of fun happening every day. The sect has 12 peaks, and the number of people on Snowsword Peak is relatively large, with nearly 400 people. In addition, Ruo Qianzhi's courtyard is located at the bottom of the peak. There are more than 200 people living at the bottom of the peak, so not long after leaving the house, a group of people were found on a flat ground holding swords and divided into groups to compete with each other. It's morning now, and these children are quite young. The oldest is less than 20 years old, and the youngest is only 15 or 16 years old. They stood on the lush green grass, bathed in sunshine, with smiles on their faces. The cicadas on the trees and the birds in the sky sang for them. Looking at this scene, Ruo Qianzhi felt a little distracted. He seemed to think of the figure of fencing in the woods with his classmates in school when he was a child. That was his lost youth. Ruo Qianzhi wiped the water stains from the corners of her eyes. It's strange. Why is there so much water in the air? Senior brother Qian. A man in green clothes noticed Ruo Qianzhi and raised his hand to him. Good morning. Ruo Qianzhi also smiled and returned the salute. He knew this man, and he was considered a loyal fan of his. He was quite touched when he helped him angrily attack Jang Chen. Hello, senior brother. The other teenagers who were practicing also discovered Ruo Qianzhi's arrival. Ruo Qianzhi responded one by one. Just do your own thing, don't worry about me. Then he just found a stone pillar and sat down, watching the scene of people practicing with great interest. It's not that Ruo Qianzhi is bored, but he will feel very friendly when he sees this scene, recalling the good childhood days, and his heart will be warm. He was quickly immersed in it, and his eyes became blurred. At this moment, a woman in blue carrying a basket walked over. Brothers and sisters, please take a break and have breakfast first. The woman said softly and waved to everyone. Okay, junior sister Yayu. The disciples dropped their tools one after another and ran towards Yayu. Senior brother Qian, come over and eat together. The disciple in Xingyi waved towards Ruo Qianzhi and said with a smile. Senior brother Qian. Ruo Qianzhi. Yayu was stunned for a moment, and when he saw the direction of Shi Dunzi, he was a little distracted when he really saw Ruo Qianzhi. It's really him. After coming back to his senses, Ruo Qianzhi was about to refuse because he had already eaten, but the voice of the system sounded in his heart. It was detected that Du Yayu, one of the 114,514 female protagonists, will meet Jang Chen later. Out of kindness, he saved Jang Chen who was dying and fell in love with him. In order to repay his kindness, Jang Chen Du Yayu was brought into the harem and taken good care of. Hear the system beep. Repay a favor. Ruo Qianzhi was a little dumbfounded. Is there anyone who can repay a favor like this? Jang Chen kept Du Yayu by his side so that his benefactor would not be missed by the scumbag. In Jang Chen's words, he wanted to give the kind girls in the world a home so that they would not be harmed by the scumbag. Ruo Qianzhi. This Jang Chen is really shameless. Although Ruo Qianzhi felt that she was very thick-skinned, it was only in some special circumstances, and she would not say such shameless words like Jang Chen. Is Jang Chen really the protagonist? Is he really the master of justice? It is true from the perspective of bystanders and onlookers. For example, if a heroine is about to fall into the hands of a bad guy, and the protagonist saves her, and the heroine develops feelings for the protagonist cannot easily refuse, so she naturally agrees, which does seem quite fair. Du Yeyu's situation is the same. There are two correct angles for Jang Chen. 1. Du Yeyu was kind to him for saving his life, so it was reasonable for Jang Chen to agree to repay the favor. 2. This world is too dangerous and there are many bad people. In order to prevent Du Yeyu from being led down by the bad people, Jang Chen kept her by his side. Although Jang Chen is not a good person, he is still relatively good to the female protagonists. From these two places, bystanders would not think that Jang Chen had done anything wrong. It seems that he really can't think of anything Jang Chen did wrong. What's wrong? The fault lies in Jang Chen's irresponsibility for feelings. He doesn't like Du Yeyu and can't guarantee that he will treat Du Yeyu well in his whole life. This kindness will eventually be repaid, and by then, Jang Chen, you will feel that you owe the other party nothing, and you will have legitimate reasons to treat her as your pawn and completely reduce her to a tool. So why are you talking about this? I am not a holy mother, and I will not care about so many people who have nothing to do with me. Ruo Qiange said calmly. Jang Chen's current luck value, 122,671. Among them, the luck given to him by the witch of the ancient world is 100,000, and Surui's luck is 12,670. Under the sanctions of the host, Jang Chen completely lost the two big heads, Yiching Shu and Lang Huaning, and lost nearly 50,000 qi, transport. From this point of view, Jang Chen has only lost one arm, and the host still cannot kill him. If you don't want to kill me, I won't kill you. Why do you talk so much nonsense? Ruo Qiange is a little unhappy. He has been led by the system for several days during the transmigrate. Wouldn't it be okay if he took a break? Then he has become a puppet of the system? He transmigrated here just for enjoyment, and he didn't want to be someone else's tool. If the host does not develop as soon as possible, collect revenge points, and then kill Jang Chen, with his vengeful character, does the host think Jang Chen will let him go? Even if he lets the host go, so what? Jang Chen is the son of luck and will still do so in the future. When he grows up, does the host want to compare with him? Haha. Are you threatening me? Ruo Qiange's eyes turned cold. Haha, does the host think? He has broken one of Jang Chen's shoulders and he can no longer jump up. Ruo Qiange closed his eyes quietly. To be honest, he did think so. How much luck do I have? Can Jang Chen compare to me? The luck value of the host, excluding everything, 278,714. So how can Jang Chen fight with me? Ruo Qiange sneered. Although Jang Chen's luck is currently only a little over 100,000, does the host know what Jang Chen's total luck is? What's the meaning? As the protagonist, Jang Chen will encounter empresses, rare treasures, fairy cave mansion, etc. every time he goes to a place or opens a new map. And his total luck value in his life is as high as hundreds of millions. Does the host still have the confidence to fight with him? Ruo Qiange stopped talking. The protagonist. What a protagonist. Randomly arriving at a place is an opportunity that ordinary people will never encounter in their lives. The person they casually make friends with is the Empress, the fairy who descended to Earth, and the poisoned demon emperor. Why? Just because he is the protagonist. Just because he is the protagonist, he can only be trampled on the soles of his feet and humiliated? Why? I won't give in. If Qiange suddenly opened his eyes were burning with fighting spirit and anger. I am who I am. Why am I willing to be someone else's stepping stone? So what you want is for me not to give up any opportunity to weaken Jang Chen? Ruo Qiange asked. I don't know why he always feels like he's been fooled. You can't think like this, the system and here our own people. If there was no system, Ruo Qiange would probably have been killed by the protagonist long ago. Yes, don't give up any opportunity to weaken Jang Chen's total luck value, and suppress Jang Chen at all times. Don't let his luck value rise. Otherwise, once it rises, it will be difficult for the host to suppress it. Jang Chen's luck will only grow faster and faster, and the host will have no choice but to wait for death. Is there a way to break the situation? The host continuously brushes revenge points, which is equivalent to the host's own luck value. When Jang Chen's current luck value is weakened to a threshold, the host's luck crushes it, which is the host's attack the day to kill each other. Oh. Transmigrate here, there's so much shit. Ruo Qiange sighed. But this is just a complaint. Ruo Qiange will still be 100 vigilant when facing Jang Chen. Either Jang Chen dies, or Ruo Qiange dies. This is destined to be a very tragic battle. The only thing Ruo Qiange can do now is to collect revenge points and act according to the situation. Senior brother Qian. What's wrong with him? His eyes are wide open, as if he saw an enemy. The man in green was a little scared when he saw Ruo Qiange staring fiercely into the air. Senior brother Qian must have thought of something unhappy. Du Yayu sighed. She knew why Ruo Qiange was like this. She must have been thinking of her master and senior sister, and the scene when they didn't trust her and destroyed Supreme Bone without anyone stopping them. At this moment, Ruo Qiange walked towards a few people, smiled slightly and said, "Haha, brothers, then I will reluctantly have a meal." "Are you Du Yayu?" Ruo Qiange turned her head and looked at Du Yayu, looking up and down. "Ah. I am." Du Yayu, who was suddenly stared at by Ruo Qiange, was a little nervous. He flipped up his hair and finished his sentence at a loss. Du Yayu. 15 years old, in the early stage of the Daohe realm, accompanied by the immortal pill, a spiritual creature, with a high level of earth. In the original plot, he had a crush on Ruo Qiange in the early stage. Later, Jang Chen exposed Ruo Qiange's true face, blackened, so he abandoned the dark side and turned to the bright side. Go up to Jang Chen and contribute to Jang Chen in a key battle. The female supporting character exists. In the development of the world after defeating the villain Ruo Qiange, Du Yayu officially became the heroine. Do you think Jang Chen is a bad person? Ruo Qiange looked at Du Yayu with a smile. Aye. It was the first time for Du Yayu to talk to Ruo Qiange at such a close distance. He turned his head away with a red face and was at a loss. Ruo Qiange didn't know what to say when she saw Du Yayu's reaction. Ruo Qiange couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Oh, it's all my fault that I'm so handsome, and I've inadvertently fascinated so many girls. Ahem. In fact, when Ruo Qiange was 12 years old, the disciples of the sect sneaked into the undeveloped Forbidden Forest because they were still young and curious. Du Yayu almost died from the mouth of a poisonous snake in the Soul Formation realm, but Ruo Qiange came to the rescue. He felled her and was seriously injured. This is a great favor, and Du Yayu is an 11-year-old girl who has just entered puberty, so she also falls in love with Ruo Qiange. Alas, girlish feelings are always poetry. Ruo Qiange looked at Du Yayu's blushing face and sighed. How can we avoid hurting the other person's heart? Let the other person understand what love is. If Qiange knew, it would be impossible for him to marry a woman he didn't even know, not to mention that Du Yayu didn't really like him. It was just because of his kindness and hormones. Waka Chica has also encountered this situation before Transmigrate. He finally decided not to care about it. After all, he didn't have that much energy. Anyway, when Du Yayu grows older, he should understand what he likes. Brother Niu, does Sister Yu's face look a little strange? A younger child tugged at the young man in green beside him in confusion. I'm telling you secretly, but don't tell others, in fact. So, the young man in Xing Yi told a secret to the child. The child was very happy and trotted directly to Ruo Qiange. Brother, let me tell you a secret, Sister Yu likes you. Ruo Qiange. Brother Niu. Ah, what nonsense are you talking about? Du Yayu covered his red face and disappeared in an instant, leaving only a long line of smoke on the ground. A strong man in the Daohe realm is really terrifying. Damn it. How did you agree to me, you brat? Brother Niu put a hammer directly on the child's head. But didn't you once tell me that if you like someone, you should confess it boldly? The child covered his head and said aggrievedly. Maid, can a man be the same as a little girl? Why don't you give me a peach to cool off? Brother Niu gave the child another hammer on the head. Woo, I was wrong. Ruo Qiange couldn't bear to watch anymore. She was originally here to have fun, but in the end, something like this happened. Just leave. As for Du Yayu's matter, Let's take care of it later. If Qiange comes to the main peak Daoang, it is because this place has the most people. Why are there the most people? Because there are many sect facilities at the waist of the peak, and all 3,000 disciples of the sect will come to use this place. The profound heaven spiritual pool can soothe the tired body and mind and help with cultivation. The elixir will be added at a fixed time every day and the pool water will be purified. Needless to say, there is no need to say more about the arena, where Ziyang sect disciples compete with each other. There are also a series of scenic spots such as Sea of 10,000 Flowers, Linyu Platform, Wangtian Lake, etc., which are all places where disciples can relax their stress. When Ruo Qiange came to Fengyao, he felt a little embarrassed for a moment. He didn't know where he should choose to go. He definitely didn't even think about entering the arena. Ruo Qiange was no different from a useless person now. He only got points for being beaten if he entered, and watching the battle was not interesting, so he simply came to the Lingchen to soak in the hot spring. Why choose Lingqi? Because there is beautiful scenery there, he. Although sect leader Hua is a bit unruly, I have to say that he still has advantages. He is not rigid. This is one of his few advantages. The Lingqi is a separate whole, and there is no special place for male and female disciples. To put it simply, it is a mixed bath for men and women. Therefore, the disciples of Ziyang sect have a well-known advantage, that is, there are more decent people. Why do you say that? Because in other sects, there are frequent reports of female disciples being spied on, but in Ziyang sect, this kind of thing never happens. Many other sect leaders praised Hua Qingyan for her good management, but Hua Qingyan just smiled awkwardly. It's not because she is low-key, but even she herself doesn't know the reason. In fact, the reason is that the disciples feel that they can go to the hot springs openly, so why should they peep at others despite being called gangsters? Ziyang sect is the leader of the righteous way and has many righteous men. Although it is morning, many people will stay here overnight because the spiritual pool helps with cultivation. If Qian Zhe looked around, he could conservatively estimate that there were more than 300 people. Ruo Qiange didn't like crowded places, but this time it was rare for her to get into a group with a large number of people. Ruo Qiange looked left and right. The disciples here all wear 1 or 2 spiritual veils on the surface to protect their private parts. Come and catch me, wait for me, miss. I'll give you a nice look after I catch you. Listening to the melodious playing sounds of the girls around her, Ruo Qiange closed her eyes with great enjoyment and quietly felt the warmth brought by the spring water. Ahem, host, what are you doing? Have you forgotten what you promised me? Don't indulge in the gentle countryside. Jang Chen, the evil great monk, must be severely punished. Mada, brainwash me every day. I think you are the real evil monk. Ruo Qiange curled her lips. Transmigrate, I haven't had a day off in so many days. I'm in intrigues every day. What's wrong with enjoying today? Ahem, host, let me tell you a good place. Quickly fart. Go to the lower left corner of the pool, and there will be a big surprise waiting for you there. Ruo Qiange opened her eyes. You'd better not lie to me. After saying that, he swam towards the corner mentioned by the system. What surprised Ruo Qiange was that there were many people in other places, but there were fewer people in the corner where he went. And there are fewer people closer to the corner. There seems to be only one figure at the end of this corner, while there are more people in other corners, and there are only 6 or 7 people. How is this going? There is indeed something fishy. Ruo Qiange's curiosity was aroused and she accelerated towards that corner. Ruo Qiange could feel that the people around him were looking at him strangely, but he ignored them and continued walking towards the corner. Soon Ruo Qiange came to the corner. Because the fog was relatively thick, he couldn't see the figure clearly. Driven by curiosity, Ruo Qiange simply swam a little closer. Ruo Qiange finally saw the woman's appearance clearly, but her back was turned to him. Why does this back look familiar? Yeah, why does it look familiar? Ruo Qiange's curiosity was completely aroused, and she swam directly in front of the woman and looked her up and down. The two immediately looked at each other. Well, this person is Surui. Why does he look so familiar to me? Well, Surui? Senior brother Qian, are you here specifically to find me? Surui wiped the fog from the corners of her eyes, put her fists on her cheeks, and her eyes were shining with stars. No, you misunderstood, I just happened to pass by here. Ruo Qiange said with pain, and cursed in his heart. Dog system, is this the big surprise you told me? It's not even a big scare. Haha. The host will receive revenge points after a while. Isn't this a big surprise? Hee. Impossible. Senior brother must have come to the profound heaven spiritual pool to find me because he knew I was bathing here, Surui said seriously. Surui, you are really narcissistic. Why would you come here to find you before I could hide from you? Couldn't I just come to this place to play? Ruo Qiange said speechlessly. Then how can senior brother explain that he swam to this corner and then met me? Without waiting for Ruo Qiange to explain, Surui explained to herself. Senior brother, are you trying to say that you want to find a place with fewer people? If that's the case, why don't you just stay in the holy pool dedicated to Master? Ruo Qiange suddenly didn't know how to answer. What, does senior brother admitted by not speaking? Surui said in surprise. Ruo Qiange. You've said everything I want to say, what more can I explain? I can't tell you that there is something called a system in the body. Everyone here has avoided me since I arrived in this pool. Fortunately, I still have a senior brother. Before, I thought that my senior brother didn't care about me just like everyone else. Woo woo woo. Thinking of the grievances she had suffered these days, Surui burst into tears and wanted to hug Ruo Qiange's shoulders, but he dodged her away. You are generating electricity. Do you think I will slap you in the face? Ruo Qiange scolded with a dark face. Seeing Ruo Qiange's ferocious eyes, Surui stopped her tears, sniffed and looked at Ruo Qiange aggrievedly. The host severely wounds Surui's heart and rewards 2,000 revenge points. That's so disgusting, duh. Ruo Qiange spat directly, swore and swam to the shore, and disappeared after a burst of smoke, leaving Surui alone in the wind. Surui wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. She finally realized that she seemed to be wrong. She shouldn't live up to her senior brother's kindness to her. Senior brother Qian, please come back. Rui really knows her mistake. After running out of the profound heaven spiritual pool, Ruo Qiange dared to breathe heavily. It's better to stay at home and be safe, and you'll encounter anything that goes against the grain when you go out. Ancient world. In an antique room. On the bed, Mo Yuan was squeezing the shoulders of Jang Chen, who was shaking all over, and said softly, Brother Jang Chen, why are you shaking? Witch-sama. How about I squeeze your shoulders? This blessing is really great. Jang Chen gently pushed Mo Yuan's jade hand away. What does this feel like? If Jang Chen is compared to the emperor's favorite eunuch, then Mo Yuan is the emperor. The emperor squeezes your shoulders and asks you if you dare to move? Mo Yuan didn't care at all, and put his hand up again, pinching it with a smile on his face, as if he was enjoying it very much. This is how the protagonist is treated, and I have to say that opportunities are good. Do you want to take revenge? Mo Yuan suddenly said next to Jang Chen's ear. Revenge. For what purpose? Mo Yuan's jade fingers traced across Jang Chen's chest, provoking every inch of his skin, and smiled charmingly. Of course you want to avenge Ruo Qiange. Is it possible that you want to avenge me? No, it doesn't exist. Please tell me, the witch. Jang Chen was immediately frightened. Do you want to take revenge on Ruo Qiange? I would rather destroy the supreme bone than give it to you. Jang Chen suddenly said with great righteousness. This matter was not his fault in the first place, let alone when will retribution be repaid. Take a step back. If you don't tell the truth, I'll cut off your little thing and feed it to my little baby. Gudong. Jang Chen swallowed his saliva and said slowly, a gentleman has a clear distinction between grudges and grudges. Every drop of kindness must be repaid with a spring of water. Any grudge will naturally be repaid. Gee, I just like your duplicity. Mo Yuan stretched out his white jade hand and lifted Jang Chen's chin. How do you want to take revenge? Jang Chen sighed and said, it's not a life or death feud, just give him a small lesson. That's the truth, Jang Chen. Ahem, witch-sama, I have changed my mind. Not only do I want Ruo Qiange to die miserably, but I also want to die of despair when the people around me don't trust her. Jang Chen's eyes revealed a fierce light. Haha, he is indeed the man that I, Mo Yuan, have fallen in love with. He is indeed ruthless. Mo Yuan's soft and charming voice was so alluring that Jang Chen almost lost his hearing. But because he was the protagonist, he definitely couldn't show it, and he quickly suppressed the evil fire. Mo Yuan held her cheek with her fair hands and sighed softly. Ah, brother, Jang Chen's idea is quite good, but there are so many requirements, it seems a bit difficult to handle. Which Sama? What do you mean? You guess. For several days, Ruo Qiange stayed in the yard, looking at the grass and flowers, and sometimes playing chess with the passing disciples. Why didn't Lang Huaning suddenly come? Ruo Qiange was a little confused. He used to come several times a day, but now he hasn't come for several days. How can he earn revenge points like this? As for the master, she said that in order to compensate herself, she went to get herself a high-level spiritual object at any cost. Ruo Qiange definitely doesn't believe it. It is difficult for even land gods to obtain high-level spiritual objects at the heaven level. Yiching Shu is only a half-immortal, so why can she? Ruo Qiange walked around the courtyard for a while and sighed again. He missed Lang Huaning a little bit. Why didn't he come to find him? Ruo Qiange swore that if Lang Huaning came to find her, she could chat with him for an hour or two before torturing her. Waka chica! Suddenly, a clear and angry woman shouted. If Qiange turned around, she found that another person, Hua Qingyan, had appeared in the originally empty yard. She was still wearing the same pink dress, holding a sword in her hand and looking at Ruo Qiange with a dark face. Tell me the truth. What did you do when you met Lang Huaning for the last time? Hua Qingyan's teeth clenched loudly, which was enough to show her anger. I will tell you the truth. Can you let me go? Speak. Ahem. Ruo Qiange cleared her throat. I was bored a few days ago, so I just wanted to go to the brothel to talk to the Oran, but who would have thought that Lang Huaning followed me, and then she fainted without knowing what happened. You. Tell me more, it's definitely not that simple. Hua Qingyan loosened her clenched fists and sighed. Ahem, after I came to the brothel, I said some sweet words and love words to the Oran, and then gave her a peerless poem, and told the Oran that you were the person I have been looking for 10 years before sending her this poem. If Qian Zhe recounted the details of that day, Hua Qingyan's face would become increasingly gloomy. It seems that you can't wait to become my sect leader's Taoist companion, right? Ruo Qiange looked Hua Qingyan up and down for a while, nodded and said, well, actually it's not impossible. Roll. Hua Qingyan threw the sword in her hand directly. I hide. Ruo Qiange ducked sideways and dodged easily. Hua Qingyan condensed another sword in her hand and threw it towards Ruo Qiange. I'm hiding again. Ruo Qiange dodged easily again. Lord Sect Master, you can't do it. Ruo Qiange shook his head disdainfully. Oh, is it so? Hua Qingyan smiled evilly, and in the next second hundreds of swords appeared around her. Gudong. Ruo Qiange swallowed. Hee. Lord Sect Master, I am always joking with you. Hee. Hua Qingyan waved her hand gently, and hundreds of swords disappeared. Ruo Qiange breathed a sigh of relief. I'm here to talk to you about business. Hua Qingyan sighed. Oh, what's the matter? Ruo Qiange's curiosity was aroused. Is it about Lang Huaning? Or is it about Yiching Shu? Come with me and have a look. Hua Qingyan sighed again, waved her hand and a golden portal floated around her, turned around and walked in. After Ruo Qiange hesitated for a moment, he also walked in. After walking into the portal, Ruo Qiange discovered that it was a great Tao full of light, and the end of the great Tao. Well, it seemed to be only half a meter away, and you could walk out with just one kick. Maybe the function of this portal is similar to shrinking 100 kilometers into 1 meter. Ruo Qiange took a step forward and walked out of the portal. The golden visual impact disappeared, leaving only a green forest. This is a restricted forest designated by the sect. If you enter, your life will be in danger. Ruo Qiange looked at the ground and found many animal carcasses in front of her, and a fishy smell came from them. Hua Qingyan had already walked under a big tree. Ruo Qiange stepped over the corpses of surrounding animals and ran to Hua Qingyan's side. She frowned and said, why are there so many corpses of animals and monsters here? Look who this is. Hua Qingyan moved away, revealing the girl who was blocked by him. The girl's fair face and skin were stained with blood, and her blue dress was stained with blood. She was leaning against a big tree with her eyes closed. It could be seen from her pale face that the blood could not hide it, exhausted. Leng Huaning. Ruo Qiange was stunned. Why is she here? Leng Huaning was covered in blood and injuries, leaning against the tree weakly with her head tilted to one side. Haha. Why do you think she is? Hua Qingyan smiled coldly. Why? If Qiange had a bad premonition in her heart, could it be because of herself? Look at this. Hua Qingyan took out a crystal-clear blue stone. After injecting spiritual power, the blue stone shone with a dazzling light, and a light group slowly emerged. The picture that appeared in the light ball was that of a girl in green holding a sword in her hand and waving the monsters continuously. After one died, it was the turn of the next one. She repeated this as if she didn't feel tired at all. That's it. It lasted for several days, and thousands of corpses of animals and monsters appeared on the ground. How could the journey be so smooth? Finally, a magical beast that Leng Huaying could not match came, and it was the cultivation level of Divine Sovereign. Finally, Leng Huaning fell down. Just when the monster was about to kill him, the pendant on his chest shone with a dazzling light, temporarily repelling the monster. At the same time, Leng Huaning, who got the news about the pendant, also rushed here. The scene ends here. Ruo Qiange, after reading this, he became a little silent. In order to find out the truth of the matter, I extracted part of Huaning's memory and the result. Haha, it's because of you that you went too far, sending love poems to the Oran and having heart-to-heart conversations, etc., which hurt her too deeply. So I came here and suppressed the pain in my heart with killing. Hua Qingyan sighed softly. She had tears in her eyes before she fell. That's not right. Master Hua, since you have extracted Leng Huaning's memory, you already know why she came here. Then why do you still ask me? Ruo Qiange said confused. Haha. Of course it's to see if you tell the truth. Do you dare to do things seriously? What if I didn't tell the truth? Ruo Qiange asked curiously. He. What do you think? Hua Qingyan showed an evil smile with evil intentions on her face. Ruo Qiange's body trembled. This is really terrible. It seems that he has been through the gate of hell before. Huaning is so heartbroken because of you. Are you happy? When I destroyed my two supreme bones, they just watched helplessly. Am I not sad? Ruo Qiange said coldly. He. Hua Qingyan's face instantly turned cold. How long are you going to talk about this matter? 1 year, 100 years, or the rest of your life? It's not like Huaning didn't realize her mistake and ruined her own future by giving the Lotus Lantern to you. What about the others? Did Surui say anything? But you were lucky enough not to be moved, but you actually made her cry so angry that she got wet in the rain all night. Despite this, Huaning was not angry. She was still thinking about your injured shoulder. She stayed up most of the night to prepare medicine for you. She was afraid of waking you up, but she did it very lightly. She spent a lot of time. The next time, she also remembered you very clearly and came to change your dressing on time. But how about you? Mater went crazy and tore off the bandage on her shoulder, severely injuring her body to let others know. Do I feel sorry for you? What? Is this your mother? Who else but your mother would love you so much? You bastard is so blessed that you don't know how to be blessed. You insist on hurting other girls' hearts. Why don't you go to the ancient world if you are so capable? Did you kill your enemy Jang Chen and the witch knife? It feels good to hurt the people who love you, right? There is also the matter of the brothel. You didn't go there before, so you ran to Qi Huaning on purpose, right? How are you so capable, you? So, don't you, the sect leader, understand the principle of not advising others to do good without going through their suffering? Ruo Qiange said calmly. You mean you don't want to hear it? I have to say it. I have to say it. You are just a petty person, and you are also a fool who doesn't distinguish between right and wrong. You also always like to be sentimental, and torment people who care about you every day. Why don't you go to Jang Chen and Mo Yuan, the old witch? Are you okay now? Give the flowers with your pussy like this. Let's see if she will still pay attention to you after she wakes up. Even if Huaning wants to deal with you, I won't let her get close to you again. The sky is the limit for your enemies, and you will punish your benefactors with ruthless means. People like you deserve to lose supreme bone. Hua Qingyan sighed. Don't blame me for speaking harshly. I'm a little emotional. If you are really angry, go and retaliate against Surui. There is no need to keep staring at the repentant person. The meaning of Huaning. Oh, you're right, I do deserve it. Ruo Qiange nodded. But even though he said this, he still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Indeed, Surui, the most heartless person here, is living so comfortably now, and Leng Huaning paid the highest price for him, willing to cut off her future in exchange for being able to cheer herself up, but she was injured to this extent. Ruo Qiange plans to change her goals next. Hua Qingyan ignored Ruo Qiange, clicked her tongue, picked up Leng Huaning, and walked towards the return road. When passing by Ruo Qiange, she stopped and showed a malicious and playful smile. According to the agreement, I lost the bet. You and I will become a Taoist couple, and I will tell the whole sect later. After saying this, he left without looking back. The reason for doing this is very simple. Hua Qingyan knows that Ruo Qiange is very afraid of her and can't even stay there for a minute, let alone become a Taoist couple, so this is a huge punishment and she can avenge Leng Huaning. Of course, some of them also have a little bit of bad taste in them. What Hua Qingyan likes most is this tortuous feeling. When she had nothing to do, she would torture the sect disciples. Later, when the sect disciples couldn't stand it anymore, Hua Qingyan changed her mind to torture the disciples who committed crimes. As a result, it didn't take long for the Ziyang sect to become a well-known civilized sect. There is almost no disciple who commits a crime. If it happens, it will become the laughing stock of all Ziyang sect disciples. Therefore, under this trend, Hua Qingyan will not be able to torture even one person for a year. So Hua Qingyan cherished this opportunity to torture Ruo Qiange. Of course, there is another important reason why she and Ruo Qiange became Taoist couples, and that was to let Leng Huaning let go of the psychopath Ruo Qiange. If Qiange stood there and felt at a loss for a moment, should he choose to stay where he was or follow him? After some consideration, it would be better if Qiange decided to follow. In this way, Ruo Qiange followed Hua Qingyan to her residence. Hua Qingyan's residence is not on the top of Daoang Mountain, but on the other half of the peak. There is an independent sea of flowers. There are rivers, vegetable fields, and wooden houses in the sea of flowers. There are restrictions that strictly prohibit disciples from entering. Of course, even if there is no restriction, no disciple will be stupid enough to enter here, unless you want to give Hua Qingyan a clue and become her torment object. That is a different matter. After arriving in the room, Hua Qingyan gently placed Leng Huaning's body on the bed, then turned her head and looked at Ruo Qiange with a sneer. Why are you following me? You want to beg me not to ruin your reputation. Ruo Qiange was speechless when she heard this. This sect leader is really weird. Isn't the sect master afraid that his reputation will be ruined? Ruo Qiange said lightly. In fact, he didn't think it was anything. Hua Qingyan was as powerful as a land fairy, her appearance was at the level of a heroine, and her background was that of the leader of the Ziyang sect. And if Qiange is a loser now, if the two of them become a Taoist couple, it would be Hua Qingyan who would suffer the loss, and it would be her own reputation that would be ruined. Haha, I already lost my reputation in the sect more than 10 years ago, so I'm naturally not afraid, Hua Qingyan said with a slight smile. Not long after the founding of the sect, Hua Qingyan successfully used her hard power to make the entire sect's disciples fear her. Ruo Qiange. Looking at the silent Ruo Qiange, Hua Qingyan became even more proud. Why, now I know I'm afraid. Hua Qingyan was filled with emotion. Finally, this long-lost feeling of torturing the disciples finally came back. Hua Qingyan wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, which were left because she was moved. I will tell all the disciples of the sect this good news now. A piece of floating paper appeared in front of Hua Qingyan, and then he wrote a few scrawled words on it. I, Hua Qingyan, and Ruo Qiange become Taoist couples. Then use the spiritual fire to light it, and within a moment the entire paper was burned to ashes. The next second, an identical piece of paper appeared in front of both Ruo Qiange and Leng Huaning. On the snow sword peak, Yayu looked at the contents on the paper in front of him and fell into deep thought. Surui, who was still soaking in the hot spring, also fell into deep thought while looking at the paper in front of her. What else is this devil doing? If Qian fell into deep thought, he didn't know how he should face Sect Master Hua in the future. Should he call Sect Master, Qingyan, or baby? And this is only in name, or is it recognized in reality, so doesn't it mean that you can eat soft rice? On the other side, looking at Ruo Qiange who was meditating, the corners of Hua Qingyan's mouth were slightly raised. This guy must be thinking about how he should meet people in the future, right? From now on, she can only hide in the house and live in fear. Hua Qingyan thinks it's funny when she thinks about it. Sir, sect leader, do you still have the heart to sort out these miscellaneous things and not go take a look at Leng Huaning's body? Ruo Qiange said. You don't need to worry. I gave Huaning the elixir before I came to see you. At this moment, Leng Huaning's head suddenly raised and she stared blankly around. Where is this? Huaning, are you awake? Hua Qingyan smiled happily, quickly walked up to Leng Huaning and grabbed her hand. Well, why'd I appear here? Leng Huaning scratched her head and asked in confusion. Here's the thing. Hua Qingyan told everything that happened in detail. After hearing this, Leng Huaning nodded and noticed Ruo Qiange, but she ignored him and nodded weakly towards Hua Qingyan. Thank you, sect leader Hua. Aren't you coming over yet? Hua Qingyan glanced at Ruo Qiange. Ruo Qiange put away the unnatural look on her face and said with a cold face, since senior sister is sad and crying because of me, then we will never see each other again. After finishing speaking, he turned around and left without waiting for Leng Huaning's response. Aware of Leng Huaning's pain, revenge points plus 5000. I've been like this and you still don't want to forgive me even a little bit. Woo woo woo. Leng Huaning covered her face and cried. Watching Ruo Qiange's back completely disappear, Hua Qingyan then looked at Leng Huaning, stroked her silky black hair and said softly, your master asked me to take good care of you before he left, so I should tie you up by my side. Yes, alas. Leng Huaning's head drooped slightly, with a hint of sadness on her face. This is not the fault of the sect master, it is my own fault. No, you're right. Hua Qingyan gently grabbed Leng Huaning's hands and shook her head. If there is something wrong with you, it is that you put your thoughts in the wrong place. You have good talents. With the Lotus Lantern accompanying you, you will sooner or later grow into one of the top powerful people who will determine the direction of this world. Look at me, the sect leader. I am devoted to the Tao. I have already entered the realm of semi-immortal at the young age of 26, and have now reached the mid to late stage of land immortality. You had a chance to become a semi-immortal in your 20s, but, what a pity. Hua Qingyan gritted her teeth and said, that Surui is much smarter than you. I saw her leisurely soaking in the hot spring alone this morning, enjoying herself very much. How can she be so stupid as you? She kept running to give that the bastard is being treated as a doormat. Leng Huaning did not answer, but noticed the piece of paper on the quilt, and silently read out, I, Hua Qingyan, and Ruo Qiange have become Taoist couples. Leng Huaning. Looking at Leng Huaning who fell into silence, Hua Qingyan said awkwardly, Huaning, are you angry? Leng Huaning wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, looked at Hua Qingyan and asked puzzledly, Sect Master, what do you want to do? This. Hua Qingyan hesitated for a moment, and finally showed a smile and said, you also know that although I am the leader of a sect, my reputation is worse than a dead cockroach. I did this to teach this bastard a lesson. Lord Sect Leader. I beg you not to do this to him. Leng Hua looked at Hua Qingyan's eyes with autumn water surging. My intention in doing this is to give him a heavy punishment. Once he feels uncomfortable, he will think about whether he treated you too much. Really wants you to forget him, Hua Qingyan said. But, can I really forget him? Leng Huaning lowered her head. On the way home, Ruo Qiange found that everyone around her was looking at her with admiration and respect. What shocked Ruo Qiange the most was that there was still jealousy. Ruo Qiange wanted to find that person and said to him, why don't you become this Taoist companion? Senior brother Qian, please wish yourself good luck. A passing disciple patted Ruo Qiange on the shoulder. Senior brother Qian, don't worry. We know this is the devil who is deliberately trying to disgust you. We won't believe it. Another disciple patted his shoulder. Come on. I believe senior brother Qian can withstand it. Then he smiled and ran away quickly. Hee hee. Ruo Qiange smiled bitterly and shook his head. He knew these people were joking, so he was not angry. In fact, if you think about it carefully, being Hua Qingyan's Taoist monk is quite good. At least you can give yourself a title and have one more pretentious word to say in the future. It had only been a few days since he transmigrated here, and his impression of Hua Qingyan was quite good. He was rich, handsome and well established. Ruo Qiange still felt that he had made a profit. Back outside the yard, Ruo Qiange found a woman in white waiting for her. She has an excellent figure and a fair complexion. Could it be that there is another heroine who has a crush on her? Thinking of this, Ruo Qiange couldn't help but speed up her steps. After getting closer, I realized that it was my master. Ruo Qiange was a little disappointed for a moment. Haha Gare, why do you look unhappy when you see my teacher? Yiching Shu rubbed Ruo Qiange's head. Yeah, so why did you come to see me? Ruo Qiange said coldly. Yiching Shu's delicate hand touching Ruo Qiange's head froze immediately. Master, why are you looking so pale? Ruo Qiange suddenly noticed that Yiching Shu's face was a little ugly, and there seemed to be no trace of blood. It's okay. Gare doesn't have to worry about being a master. Yiching Shu smiled and shook her head. Suddenly she seemed to have thought of something and said in surprise, "Are you caring about master?" No, Ruo Qiange shook his head. He just asked casually and hadn't even started to get into the fun yet. Hearing this, Yiching Shu just felt a little funny and covered her mouth, thinking, tough talk. Yiching Shu suddenly took out a white jade box and opened it, revealing a snow-white root with many beards. The bursts of cold air made Ruo Qiange feel chilled. Although they were so far away, Ruo Qiange felt that her body was cold from head to soul, especially her heart, which was so stiff that it was difficult to breathe. Yiching Shu gently touched him, and Ruo Qiange felt that the discomfort in her body was relieved a little. What is this? Ruo Qiange asked puzzledly as he watched the cold air around the white roots almost condense into substance. Haha, this is the 10,000 years ice Jinsang King. Yiching Shu smiled slightly, with a hint of pride in her eyes. 1,000-year-old Jinsang King? What is the concept? After becoming a land immortal, his lifespan is nearly 1,000 years, which means that this Jinsang King has killed 10 generations of land immortals without being captured and stewed. Gare can choose to refine it into his own spiritual object. Its effect is no less than that of a heaven-grade high-level ordinary spiritual object. Although it may not be as good as your supreme bone. But this is what Master can give you. That's the biggest help, don't blame Gare. After Yiching Shu finished speaking, she sighed guiltily. Refined into a spiritual object. Ruo Qiange was a little dumbfounded when he heard this. The 10,000 years ice Jinsang King has very powerful medicinal value, and its value is definitely 2 to 3 times that of a high-level heaven-level spiritual object. How can you refine it for yourself? Originally, as a teacher, you could have handed over this 10,000 years ice Jinsang King to Sect Master Hua and asked her to help you exchange it for a heaven-level spiritual object that suits you. However, considering the preciousness of the Jinsang King, it can easily cause disputes, so I decided to give up the idea. As she said this, Yiching Shu turned her head stupidly and looked around. After confirming that no one was around, she breathed a sigh of relief. I do not want. Ruo Qiange shook his head. Ah. Yiching Shu was stunned for a moment when she heard this. Why? Is it because I feel inferior to your 2 supreme bones, so I keep losing my temper? Yiching Shu's face was very ugly. She bit her lip, clenched her hands. Tears of grievance were about to fall. The host makes Yiching Shu sad. Revenge points plus 500. Do you know how much it cost you to get this Jinsang King for your master? As if she had thought of something, Yiching Shu's tears couldn't stop sliding down anymore. The crystal-clear tears slid down her fair and pale face, using her slightly trembling chin as a medium to fall on her face, on the cold earth. Ruo Qiange had already figured out the scene in which Yiching Shu braved the heavy snow, without caring about the coldness all over her body, and climbed one snowy mountain after another to find the king of ginseng for herself. But then again, is this what I begged you to find for me? Ruo Qiange smiled slightly. Yiching Shu paused and looked at Ruo Qiange with a smile on her face in disbelief. So strange. Yi Qingshui felt that the person in front of her was not the person she knew at all. The host makes Yi Qingshui feel chilled. Revenge points plus 1700. I told you that I will never practice again in the future, because it doesn't make any sense. If I really want to practice, I won't destroy myself. Why do you like doing these self-motivating things so much? Ruo Qiange patted Yi Qingshui on the shoulder. Why don't you need it? Your body lacks spiritual objects to help you practice. Yi Qingshui murmured to herself. Don't you understand people's words? I've said before that I don't plan to practice martial arts anymore, Ruo Qiange said coldly. Well. Yi Qingshui's jaw trembled a little when she heard this and sighed. She knew that Ruo Qiange was still angry with her. Ruo Qiange told her when she was a child that she must practice hard and protect her master when she grows up, but now she says she doesn't want to practice anymore. It was obvious that he was heartbroken. It's okay, she can wait. It has only been a few days now, and it is normal that the anger has not subsided. Then she will wait another month. If 1 month is not enough, then 3 months. If 3 months is not enough, then half a year. If half a year is not enough, then 1 year, or even 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Even if it is decades, she will wait for 100 years. Just because Ruo Qiange is one of Yi Qingshui's favorite disciples. After thinking about it, Yi Qingshui forced out a smile and said, Haha, disciple, it doesn't matter if you don't want it now, master will save it for you first. Ruo Qiange sneered. No need, just keep it for yourself. You wait for me first. Under Yi Qingshui's puzzled gaze, Ruo Qiange quickly ran into the yard and then into the house. Ruo Qiange breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the Lotus Lantern on the table was still there. Because I didn't care about the Lotus Lantern, I kept it in the house. Fortunately, I didn't lose it. This is a low-level companion spirit creature of the heaven level. Even though it is low-level, it is still a heaven-level creature. It can help ordinary people defying the heavens and changing fate. Ruo Qiange was a little grateful to the original owner in her heart, because he was a better person, so almost no one would hit him on the head for theft. Of course, what Ruo Qiange is most grateful for is the leader of their Ziyang sect. Because of his good management, the disciples of the sect never commit crimes, and are ashamed of committing crimes, and despise and laugh at those who commit crimes. If a thought suddenly arises in Qianji's mind, could it be because Hua Qingyan wants to manage the sect better, so she deliberately pretends to be dishonest and ruins her reputation? But before she thought about it for long, Ruo Qiange was startled by her own idea. Oh my god, how could I think of Master Hua as such a good person? Isn't it that I have to help her count the money after being sold? Ruo Qiange suddenly shuddered when she thought of Hua Qingyan's smiling face. After getting the Lotus Lantern, Ruo Qiange ran out of the yard and handed the Lotus Lantern to Yi Qingshui. Master, please return this Lotus Lantern to senior sister. I understand Huaning's temperament, and she won't accept it. Yi Qingshui smiled bitterly and shook her head. If she doesn't accept it, I'll die in front of you. Yi Qingshui. Is there anything so threatening? Ahem. Master will try his best to help you get this matter done. Yi Qingshui took the Lotus Lantern and put it into the spiritual ring. Master, I won't bother you anymore. You have to think about it carefully and don't be overwhelmed. Yi Qingshui rubbed Ruo Qiange's head and left. Walking on the way up the mountain, Yi Qingshui always felt a little strange. These disciples always looked at her with strange eyes. What was going on? Hello, instructor. Disciples passing by greeted Yi Qingshui. Except for the direct disciples, these disciples who belong to the Snow Sword Peak and the side mountain ranges will only call Yi Qingshui their mentor. The same is true for the other 11 peaks. Yi Qingshui quickly stretched out her delicate white hands and grabbed the shoulder of a passing disciple. She blinked and asked, Is there something dirty on my face? Why do you all look at me and want to laugh? Teacher, there is nothing on your face, the disciple said, covering his mouth. Then what are you laughing at? Yi Qingshui became even more puzzled. This. The disciple suddenly didn't dare to speak. The mentor's favorite disciple was in love with his good sister, but he didn't dare to say that he was laughing about it. Nothing to smile about. Nothing to smile about. The disciple looked careless. Why aren't you laughing? Yi Qingshui rolled her eyes at him. Is it easy to deceive you as a tutor? You're really not laughing. Peeved. Ha ha ha. Looking at Yiching Shu's serious expression, the passerby disciples suddenly couldn't help laughing when they thought of the relationship between Ruo Qiange and Hua Qingyan. Made a sound. Yiching Shu, you still said you didn't lie to me? Just when Yiching Shu was about to ask some questions, a man on the mountain rushed towards the bottom of the mountain in a hurry. It can be seen from the excited expression on the man's face that he is very happy at this time. Ah! After seeing Yiching Shu and the two of them, the man quickly braked, but because he was too fast to stop, he flew up and rushed towards Yiching Shu. Yiching Shu reacted quickly, grabbing the shoulders of the person next to her and quickly moving aside. Thump! After losing the buffer, the man's face came into direct contact with the earth, and he slid down more than 10 meters before barely stopping. Yiching Shu was startled. Shouldn't someone die? He quickly stepped forward to check the injuries, and sighed after finding no serious injuries. This is because the opponent has a high level of cultivation and is thick-skinned. Yiching Shu stared at the man's face, not knowing why he felt familiar. Yiching Shu stared at the man without blinking. His face suddenly turned red and he turned his head away. Are you Jiyu Dongqing? Yiching asked softly. Well. Hello, mentor. I am Ruo Qiange's good brother. I wonder if you still remember me? Jiyu Dongqing scratched his dusty head and laughed. Haha. How could I not be impressed? You are my gear's best friend. Yiching Shu covered her mouth and smiled. Ruo Qiange was still a 3-year-old child when he was brought back to the sect. Yiching Shu could not take care of him all day, so he took Ruo Qiange to find someone willing to take care of him. After many layers of screening, Jiyu Dongqing was the most suitable person to take care of Ruo Qiange. Although Jiyu Dongqing was only 11 years old at the time, he had already known how to live alone, and he also liked the child Ruo Qiange very much. So it was handed over to him. Things developed just as Yiching Shu expected. Jiyu Dongqing treated Ruo Qiange really well. No matter what was good, he would always let him come first. Ruo Qiange would also stand up for him when he was wronged. After taking care of Ruo Qiange until she was 9 years old, the two separated. However, although they were separated, their residences were very close to each other, and they could reach each other's yards within 100 meters. Because Ruo Qiange valued this relationship, she never moved her family to the top of the mountain to live with her master. Instead, she always lived at the bottom of the mountain. Xiao Qingzi, it seems that I haven't seen you for a long time. Yiching Shu smiled softly. My realm reached the peak of Daohe realm half a month ago, so I went to retreat. Jiyu Dongqing explained. Oh. No wonder you ran down the mountain so fast. It turns out that you are very happy to have broken through the realm. No, the instructor misunderstood. Jiyu Dongqing smiled bitterly and shook his head. It takes other people 2 or 3 months to break through. My talent is so poor, it will be even slower. Oh. Then why were you smiling so happily when you ran down the mountain just now? And why did you leave the border early? Yiching Shu asked confused. Ha ha ha. Jiyu Dongqing seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help laughing. Yiching Shu. Is today a happy day? Why do you like to laugh so much? What are you laughing at? I'm sorry, instructor. Jiyu Dongqing suppressed the excitement in his heart and explained to Yiching Shu. Our sect master and Xiao Gezi have become Taoist couples. Yiching Shu. Oh. What are you saying? Yiching Shu looked at Jiyu Dongqing dumbfounded. I said, Qian Zhe and the sect leader are getting along. Jiyu Dongqing chuckled. Ruo Qiange? Lord Sect Leader. Yiching Shu murmured repeatedly in disbelief. Who is this sect leader? Jiyu Dongqing blinked. What happened to the instructor? Why did he ask such an incomprehensible question? The sect leader is not Hua Qingyan, the sect leader of our sect. Ah! Yiching Shu was even more dumbfounded after hearing this. If she could still believe it if Qian Zhe became a Taoist couple with other sect leaders, but Hua Qingyan. Yiching Shu grew up watching Ruo Qiange, so she naturally knew that this was impossible, not to mention that her disciple hated Hua Qingyan's actions so much, so it was even more impossible. Who are you listening to? I'm going to teach him a lesson. When Yiching Shu said this, she couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. Is it okay to make such a joke? Is there any mistake? There is no nonsense, this is what the sect leader said himself. Jiyu Dongqing explained. Ah. Hearing this, Yi Qingshui became even more confused. Seeing the disbelief on Yi Qingshui's face, Jiyu Dongqing quickly took out the piece of paper he had obtained not long ago and handed it to Yi Qingshui. No, this is what the sect leader issued. Yi Qingshui took the paper with confusion, looked at the words on it and couldn't help but read out. I, Hua Qingyan, and Ruo Qiange have become Taoist couples. This must not be posted by Qingyan. Yi Qingshui carefully checked the paper and found that the scent on it was indeed left by Hua Qingyan. Yi Qingshui. So this is real. Yi Qingshui's face instantly darkened, and the hand holding the paper was trembling. Okay. Hua Qingyan, you bastard, how dare you set your sights on my apprentice? Yi Qingshui angrily tore the paper into dozens of pieces, clenched her white fists and gritted her teeth. Yi Qingshui has a relatively gentle temperament and rarely curses, which shows how angry she is at this time. Of course, this was also because Yi Qingshui and Hua Qingyan were good friends, so Yi Qingshui became even more angry and cursed. Just wait for me, I'll beat you now. Yi Qingshui sighed, rolled up her sleeves, and was about to fly towards Daohang Peak, but Jiyu Dongqing stretched out her hand and stopped her. Teacher, please wait. Oh, what's wrong? Yi Qingshui turned her head and returned to her amiable smile. How about we ask Xiaogizi what's going on first? After all, he is one of our own. Only by knowing ourselves and our enemies can we deal with Sect Master Hua better, Jiyu Dongqing explained. Hua Qingyan has a very good relationship with Yi Qingshui. Obviously she doesn't think so. When she was about to refuse, she was a little curious about her apprentice's story, so she nodded and agreed. Good. Ruo Qiange was lying happily on a chair in the yard, basking in the sun and drinking tea. However, before the stool was warmed, she heard the sound of the door being pushed. When he turned his head and looked around, he found that it was his master, and a somewhat familiar and kind man. When Jiyu Dongqing saw Ruo Qiange staring at him, he was so excited that he rushed forward and pressed his head with a smile on his face. Good boy. I didn't expect that you would kill that notorious devil after not seeing each other for half a month. It was taken down, but is it? But suddenly he thought that there was Yi Qingshui watching from the side, and Jiyu Dongqing stopped talking immediately. He quickly took his hands back, suppressed his smile, and then stood upright to the side, with his hands behind his back very honestly. His eyes looked straight ahead, as firm as an eagle's. Ruo Qiange. Good guy. Can you teach me how you complete this series of difficult movements in 3 seconds? Ruo Qiange now recalls that it was Big Brother Qing who made him shit and pee every time he was a child. His kindness to Ruo Qiange is second only to Yi Qingshui. Yi Qingshui first took several deep breaths to calm down her mood and tried her best to appear calm. Then she walked up to Ruo Qiange and said softly, "What's going on between you and the sect master? I broke your leg for not telling the truth." Ruo Qiange. Why does this master suddenly seem to be a different person? But what Ruo Qiange didn't know was that this matter was too serious, so even as a master, the always gentle Yi Qingshui would become stern. This. Ruo Qiange felt a little at a loss for a moment. Do you want to tell master about the bet between you and Hua Qingyan? To be honest, Ruo Qiange still doesn't want to say it. After all, this is not a glorious thing. How can anyone take hurting master and junior sister's heart as a bet and be proud of it? But after thinking about it, Ruo Qiange decided to tell the truth honestly. After all, he was quite thick-skinned and didn't care about these lies. Just when Ruo Qiange was about to speak, Jiyu Dongqing was so excited that he couldn't help but speak. Little Gezi, tell me your love story quickly. I can't help but laugh when I think of that female devil's blushing face. Peeved. I can't hold myself any longer, ha ha ha. Jiyu Dongqing laughed so hard that his stomach hurt, he kept banging on the table and burst into tears. No wonder he had such a reaction. Because on weekdays, the shadow area caused by Hua Qingyan to the disciples of the sect is too large. The female devil who is usually very heinous, everyone will immediately put on a straight face when they see her, for fear that if she shows any other expression, she will be targeted, and she will be accused and tortured. But even though he was such a terrifying person in everyone's eyes, he still blushed sometimes, and he couldn't help but laugh when he thought about it. I think you all have misunderstood. Ruo Qiange looked around the two of them with dull eyes. This matter started a few days ago. So Ruo Qiange told the story of her bet with Hua Qingyan. After telling everything, Ruo Qiange remembered that she had promised Hua Qingyan not to tell anyone else about it, and she suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Then those ladies shouldn't be able to settle their own accounts, right? After listening to Ruo Qiange's story, Jiyu Dongqing seemed to have aged dozens of years and slumped down on the table. I thought it was a big deal, and my adrenaline was at its peak, but you told me it was just a bet, and I lost so completely, ha ha ha. How could you make such a bet? Yiching Shu couldn't help but raise her eyebrows as she spoke. She felt very speechless. Isn't it right for a disciple to be filial to his master and to care for his senior sisters? This kind of thing is used as a bet. How do I know what Master Dao Sect is thinking? The key is that she is even more shameless than me, and she can actually say that, if you don't agree to the bet, you will marry me tomorrow in front of the whole sect. It's so outrageous. If so, Ruo Qiange said speechlessly. He got a little angry when he thought about it. This is obviously a private matter between master and disciple. Why would an outsider get involved? Or is it that the relationship between the sect leader and Yiching Shu is better? I can't bear to see her sad and crying. If that's the case, it makes sense. Yiching Shu smiled helplessly when she heard this. She knew that Hua Qingyan did this because she was worried about herself. Hua Qingyan knew that Ruo Qiange had a psychological shadow on her, so she threatened him like this. She wanted her to treat her master and sister well, and her starting point was good. Yiching Shu's mood immediately improved a lot when she thought about it. Okay, I will go tell the sect leader later and ask her to end this farce, Yiching Shu said. Well, come on, I'm really convinced. When I went home just now, people in the sect looked at me like I was a pervert, Ruo Qiange said speechlessly. No. At this moment, Jiyu Dongqing suddenly spoke loudly. Yiching Shu and Ruo Qiange's eyes couldn't help but fall on him at the same time. Brother Qing, why not? Ruo Qiange was quite polite to Jiyu Dongqing, who had a very deep memory. Think about it, the sect leader's notice has only been released for 1 day, and you ask her to send out another notice to refute the rumors. What will everyone think? Without waiting for Ruo Qiange's reply, Jiyu Dongqing said to himself. No one will believe it, they will definitely think so. It must be because senior brother Qian saw so many people saying that he was shy, so the female devil sent a notice to refute the rumors. A person as scary as the female devil would actually issue a rumor refuting notice for senior brother Qian? It's true love. By that time, the rumor refuting notice not only failed to achieve any effect, but also made everyone believe in the relationship between Xiao Gezi and Hua Zongzu. By then, even jumping into the Yellow River water would not be able to wash it away. Jiyu Dongqing held his chin and said. Ruo Qiange was a little stunned when she heard this. Why didn't he think of this before? Is it because he just wanted to end the relationship with Hua Qingyan as soon as possible? Maybe this is because the authorities are obsessed with it, but bystanders can tell. Now that I think about it carefully, I realize how reasonable what Jiyu Dongqing said is. Does Brother Qing have a way to break the situation? Ruo Qiange said, cupping his hands. If Ruo Qiange was so respectful to Jiyu Dongqing before because of the memories in her mind, now she admires her from the bottom of her heart. Brother Qing saved his innocence and reputation. Don't be afraid of being shattered into pieces, you must leave your innocence in the world. Ruo Qiange was very moved. The way to break the situation is very simple, that is to use the trick. Jiyu Dongqing wiped his nose and said with a smile. Just follow the plan. What's the best way to follow the plan? Jiyu Dongqing shook his flowing hair. Xiao Gezi just needs to do nothing. Do nothing? Ruo Qiange shook her head. Isn't this just acquiescence? Xiao Gezi, please listen to me first. Think about it, what will be the result if you go out and explain to them? Will they believe it? Not only will they not believe it, but it will also bring attention to the matter, which will be even more detrimental to Xiao Gezi. Your explanation will only make others feel that you are guilty. Xiao Gezi only needs to stay at home and do nothing. He can meet people but not some unfamiliar disciples. He must not meet with sect master Hua. In this way, the disciples have never seen Xiao Gezi and the sect master together. You will think that the piece of paper is a prank. At that time, no one would think Xiaogizi would be suspicious if she avoided this topic. Of course, you may question, why did the disciples think it was a prank when they didn't see Xiao Gezi spending time with the sect leader? Can't they meet in private because they're shy? I said, if you don't dare to meet openly, then why did you send that piece of paper? Announcement to the whole sect. If Qiange carefully savored the meaning of her words, her eyes would become brighter and brighter, and she would give a thumbs up to Ji Yu Dongqing, best brother Qing.